Sound off in the comments about the on-air sign.
Yeah, I don't know what's going
Adam's
on.
sexy voice.
Kind of worried about myself.
Keion White.
Am I looking hotter too?
You look flushed. Like
You
you're
look
about
better
to
than
black
last
out. Yes, last year was rough. That was a rough stretch for you.
It's the IDP show, now you know.
Welcome to the IDP show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Sode Shack tonight. Adam Markham, Bobby Reynolds. We are doing a 2024 IDP season recap and looking at splits. Players that started the year hot, faded down the stretch, guys that started slow and warmed up near the end, and maybe even some guys who just sucked all year round or were great all year round. Whatever you're looking for, we're going to talk about it tonight. 35 players, I think, lined up, boys, that we're going to go through. Addy on the ones and twos doing the prep for this episode. But, boys, I'd be remiss not to mention this is our first episode together in like a month. So, missed you, boys. Good to be back.
A lot has happened. Both of our teams are out of the playoffs.
Sure.
Mine was out a lot sooner.
Yeah,
Biased squad.
Yeah.
Thanks to his squad. So,
Vikes had a rough end to the year between that Lions game. The Kevin O'Connell might get traded for rumors. Right before the big Lions game, Dan Campbell, see you in 2 weeks, then both those teams get bounced.
I think people are starting to get tired of Dan Campbell crying so much.
Yeah.
I feel that wave coming, and it is a lot. It's like, dude, come on, let's just keep it together a little bit more.
Yeah, just maybe it's an effect.
Their bodies.
Yeah.
Their bodies are breaking.
Yeah,
It's bro.
Maybe it's a side effect. It's like a nervous breakdown from the 600 milligrams of caffeine he ingests every morning.
Probably so.
You know,
it's a lot going on in that heart.
Yeah, that heart is gonna explode like a stick of dynamite very soon.
It's too damn big.
It's too damn big, Dan. It's too much caffeine, man. Stop. But your Rams, Bobo, win over the Vikes. I'm telling you, if that game had been in a dome, I think your Rams would have pulled that out against the Eagles.
I agree. I think the Rams needed the traction. They needed that AstroTurf, Puka and Cup, and a lot of those defensive backs really rely on being able to cut and speed, and there was just a lack of that when they were in Philadelphia. And there was the whole dome conversation, should all of this just be like college bowl games or just put everything in a dome? And I disagree. I think it's really fun.
No.
I don't think every game needs to be in the snow, but 1 out of 10 where
it's
you
fun.
get this curveball is awesome. I will say the throw Stafford made to Puka on the sideline, I looked to my buddy Jordan and I said, we're going to win. You just kind of had that vibe of we're down 6, we're about to score a touchdown, go up 1, and this is going to be over. And Jalen Carter just got in the face of Stafford too much. Man.
Talk about a dude who has had a hell of a postseason. I mean, Jalen Carter is wrecking shop. Jared Verse looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit before we got on air. Some of these guys that just finished the year on fire has been a lot of fun to keep up with. But, had that game because Matthew Stafford, Detroit, indoor stadium, L.A., indoor stadium. So when I found out it was going to be weather and snow,
lean Saquon.
I would have taken your guys, especially on the money line, in a dome, but outside in the snow, got to go with Philadelphia.
Saquon's crazy, man. That boy is good.
Yeah, I mean,
what a year.
The best season I can remember since the time AP ran for 2K.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think he was MVP that year.
I think so too.
Saquon should have been in more of those conversations.
Yeah, he should have been MVP. It's like if you can't decide between the two quarterbacks, just give it to the running back who went for 2,000 yards on a Super Bowl contender.
This last game I missed to Ernest Jones maybe more than I have all season.
Y'all's linebackers
Reader dressed, but Rozeboom and Spates were horrible. Crazy exposed.
It's funny, they were talking about, I was listening to Underdog talk about the Rams, and it's like, okay, what are the offseason plans? How do the Rams get better?
Yeah.
Right? Because you've got some pieces.
The D-line is gross.
D-line is phenomenal. Yeah. You've got some great pieces on offense, and they said linebacker.
Are great.
Linebacker is the place where you got to invest. I'm like, if only they had a guy there that was really good that they could have just kept instead of trying to get cute.
Lucky for them, lots of linebackers out there in the open market.
That is right, yes.
You'll have your pick of them, I think.
Yeah, you've got your free agent tracker dropping tomorrow for free on the website. Beautiful little chart listing out all of the pending free agents, I think in the order that you are kind of interested in them for IDP, right?
Yeah, we got Zach Bond, number 1.
Zach Bond, number 1.
It's weird.
Featured player.
I'll pull it up here in just a second. We can kind of go over a few of them real fast.
Has anybody seen their stock drop any more than Sam Darnold?
Boy, so lost himself a lot of money.
Way back when last year when I saw you last, right? Is that
Yeah,
an accurate
That's
statement?
true.
That's right.
We missed
2024.
Christmas, New
That's a
Year's.
good
I've
one.
been to Las
That's a good
Vegas.
one.
Last
Yeah.
year, Adam, you said, yeah, Darnold can stay. You know, we can tag him. It'll be all right. You still kind of singing that tune?
No, he better be gone.
Yeah.
I think.
He better be gone.
I think
he's not
the-
built for it. He's not built for that life.
I think the move is like a transition tag, because franchise tag, he can't negotiate with other teams. Transition tag is cheaper, and it gives you the chance to match other offers that come in. My worry is J.J. McCarthy's not ready, second knee surgery. You're rolling out Daniel Jones,
Yeah.
week 1, and it's
He'd-
like,
he'd have
holy
a-
crap.
I bet Jones would have a similar glow up to what we just saw from Donald.
Maybe.
I don't think that it really matters too much with quarterback.
That's the
when it comes
dice
to-
roll, yeah, that you're taking. KOC got the extension. I think Quezzy's going to get an extension here soon.
You
So
got two nasty wide receivers. The more and more I watch of Addison, there's not much that dude can't do.
No, he's always open.
He has
dude.
fabulous hands.
He's
Really,
a
really
baller,
good
man.
hands.
We've got a good
Can take
situation.
contact.
I think Darnold on the open market might get like 40 to 45 a year.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you still buy Addison low in Dynasty?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I don't think the perceived value is probably, like, I still think Addison is ascending.
Yeah, I think you could probably get him for like
Single first?
single first, like a
Well,
107 to 112 type first, like
Yep.
in this upcoming draft.
I like that.
what if, and especially if J.J. McCarthy
Yeah.
is a dude,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then you've got a quarterback not just for potentially 2025, but beyond.
You got to remember, like, Darnold went from nothing to, like, it was a top 5 quarterback for the majority of the, fantasy
Like
season.
dark horse
yeah.
kind of MVP
Yeah.
discussion a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, McCarthy doesn't have to be great, Hawkinson's huge. Y'all are good at running back?
No, we're gonna hopefully address that this offseason.
Yeah.
Like
Good draft for it.
Yeah, right. I think we could get somebody pretty good, and yeah, that would be.
Who do you
that'd
want?
Be big for the offense.
You have a pick of your litter?
One Ashton, baby.
Go.
That'd be so sick.
Can
if we
you
could-
imagine? You've got the 101 in our main league.
my God.
Ashton goes to your Vikes.
I will be
that would just
interested
be beautiful.
to see where the smarter heads actually have him in the real, like, NFL mocks.
I'd say he's probably gonna be
Top
like
15?
10 to 15 range.
Yeah.
Right.
Where are you guys picking? Y'all are picking a little bit later, right?
We're like 23, I think now.
I think this is, I heard on the Underdog Football Show, I think this draft, everyone has a first-round pick right now.
Yeah, I noticed
Every
that too.
team has a first-round pick.
Which is cool. That's fun.
Good for the
Now,
Rams.
there'll be some trades start flying, right? Maybe a Garrett Wilson goes for a first or something like that. So I don't think everyone will have a first when we get to the draft. But as of right now,
what pick do you have?
I think 13 or 14.
Not a great year for these teams that need a quarterback, like the Giants. I don't know. From what I can tell early on, like, I think Cam Ward is kind of cool. Milroe is weird. I mean, he runs the ball a lot. I don't love Shador. And then, I'm kind of interested in Howard out of Ohio State. Just he's huge and kind of can scramble and kind of can throw. But I don't know if any of these guys have much staying power,
Who is the kid? Jackson Dart, right,
Yeah.
from Ole Miss? I've seen some buzz of like potential 101 overall.
He's
you
a
know?
dart throw. Is
Kind of
what
a
he is.
Baker Mayfield,
Yeah.
kind of rising up the ranks. Yeah, we're sitting at 14 right now. Addy, you guys are at 24. So I know Connie's already driving the Tyler Warren tight end from Penn State bus for the Colts. Big area of need. So, and we're already in on the, if the Colts suck in 25, fire sell everything and go get Archie Manning in 26.
Wow.
So which is a thing Jim Irsay will do because he is insane.
Yeah.
So don't overlook that as a possibility out there, Colts fans. So, all right, boys, let's get to it. We have the 2024.
Called him Archie.
Is it
I
not
heard that
Arch? Is
yet.
it Arch?
I think it's just Arch.
Okay.
I like
maybe.
Archie,
We're,
though.
we're buds. He
do what you
likes
want,
he's
Josh.
low key likes being
It's
Archie.
your show. We're just on it.
Archie's the granddad, right? Peyton and Eli's
Yes,
dad.
yes.
Okay.
Is he
Arch
an
Manning.
Archie?
We're gonna go get
think
Archie.
so.
We're gonna dig his ass up and put him in uniform
Yeah.
for the Colts in 2026 if A Rich doesn't work
not?
out. Why not? Why not? Can't be worse than what we have now. But let's talk season recap, boys. And like we mentioned, we're going to be looking at splits. Jace and Eric Harms did a phenomenal roundup over on the after show, looking at the ADP, some of the best and worst picks at all 5 positions by ADP. So go over there and check that out if you want to look back on the season from those two gents. But we're going to be taking a slightly different approach. So, boys, let's start with defensive line. Then we'll go to linebacker and DB. Addy, you basically just pulled out, I think, the guys that caught your eye for one reason or another as you were looking at the splits, right?
Yeah, right. Guys that started hot, guys that finish hot, guys that finish cold, guys that started cold, all that stuff. Yeah. Just, it's a long season. I feel like a lot of people kind of check out halfway through. And so you may not have realized that some of these guys kind of, came on down the stretch. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to highlight some of these guys.
Highlight. And, yes, this is sort of a, what are we doing with these guys? Just sort of a temperature check, right? Not a full scale, buy, sell, hold or anything, but, just are we buying into the dudes who heated up? Are we worried about the guys that cooled off to end the season? And, yeah, we've got 16 DL, 12 linebackers, 7 DBs for y'all. So we're going to do little 4-packs here at a time. Let's start off. TJ Watt, 17 points per game. Weeks 1 through 9, 20.3, third best among edge rushers. Weeks 10 through 18, 14 points per game, which was 12th best. Moving down to Khalil Mack, pending free agent, was contemplating retirement. Looks like he will be back. 10.7 points per game. Weeks 1 through 9, 14.4. 10 through 18, he was 7 points per game. That was 77th among edge rushers. New York Jets edge rusher Will McDonald, 11.4 points per game. Weeks 1 through 9, he was hot, 14.1. 17th best amongst edge rushers. Weeks 10 through 18, though, 8.3. 54th among edge rushers. And then Washington Commanders, soon to be free agent Dante Fowler. We know how he looked beginning of the season. 13.7 points per game, weeks 1 through 9, 19th best among edge rushers. But weeks 10 through 18, 9.5, which was 40th. So of those 4, gentlemen, TJ Watt, Khalil Mack, Will McDonald, Dante Fowler. Addy, you kick us off. You did the notes. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with TJ Watt. It's disappointing. Disappointing year for TJ Watt. He was healthy for the most part, so that was good. Because he does seem to struggle with the health stuff. But yeah, 14 points per game over the final second half of the season. That's not what you're looking for out of TJ Watt. Also, the pressure stuff was a little weird this year. 9.2% pressure rate.
Yeah, that's not great.
His career's 13.4%. PFF grades, all that stuff was still elite. In fact, 92.2 overall PFF grade. That was third among edge rushers. But just an interesting little note that the pressure rate was pretty mediocre this year.
Well, and he was ice cold. I think there was a stat going around that he went, something like 300 defensive snaps without recording a statistic of any kind.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So really could not have had a worse finish to the season than what you got from TJ Watt. So I think that plays a big role in how this back half split ended up.
Yeah. So, the conversation, I guess, is where does he rank for you in Dynasty? Does he come down quite a bit? Because, he was a guy that he was in the top 10 for me this past year, really all up until the last month. But, when you finish the way he did, and then you realize this dude is going to be almost 31 by the time next season starts, it just feels like he's kind of declining.
I think we're on the backside
yeah.
of the apex for TJ Watt.
I don't think you're going to probably ever be able to get a first out of him again.
No.
I feel like a second is probably what you're looking at now for TJ Watt.
Yeah, 7 total tackles the last 3 games. No other stats. 3.5 points by Big 3 scoring. Week 16, 9.75, and 0 points against Cincinnati.
That's tough, man.
59 snaps.
And he's one of those guys that you trade for because he has that
right.
that weak breaking upside. And when you don't get that, it really, really hurts.
And you did have that nice and a couple nice booms there to kind of round out the back half, right? But 8 points in week 10, 6.5 in week 12, 11 points in week 14. But you also had a 19-point game, a 38-point game, a 30-point game. So,
but even so, we didn't get any 40-point games this
right,
year, right?
The ceiling was definitely lower.
That is, I don't know that we've ever had that, at least not in a while, out of TJ Watt. He didn't get over 40.
Right, his highest output was 37.85, week 13 against Cincinnati. So, yeah, definitely a big arrow down season for TJ Watt, Bobo.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I actually traded TJ Watt at some point in the XFL last year. I don't exactly remember when it was. It was pretty early on. I'm going to try to find it just because I want to look back and see what I ended up, getting for it.
Now, I will say, with him, going down in value now, this is pretty good.
It's a good buy window.
I think so. If you're a contender, this is who you need to go out and get.
Because we're not saying TJ Watt's going to crater.
No,
it's just like
the perception of him is not as good.
Right.
Right.
People are into Herbig, and
and he's going to be 31
right.
again. That matters. And some people weigh it a little too much, I think. But this guy's still elite. He still is going to give you a positional advantage when you have him on your roster. He just had a cold stretch for us.
He does get banged up, but he did play 17 games the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Now the 3 years before that. 10 games in 2022, 15 and 15. So he does miss games from time to time, but these last 2 seasons, he has played every game.
And overall, we'll put up with that just because of what he has given us.
This is not a Joey Bosa situation where it's 8, 13, 7, 9, 12,
Yeah,
when
this
you
guy's
look at the
given
games
us
played.
probably 10, 40-plus point games over the past 5 years.
I was looking back at some of our popular episodes, and the Week 1 recap, I think, from last year, as in the 2023 season, was TJ Watt cooks up a 50 burger.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what TJ Watt is able to do that not many IDPs can. So
I traded Kevontae Turpin and TJ Watt, and Watt was on an expiring contract, and so was Kevontae Turpin, for Ernest Jones, Jalen Wright, a 26 fourth, and a 25 fourth. Ernest Jones will probably be my franchise tag, I would say, and then Jalen Wright I'll have for a while. TJ Watt needs to be extended in here, so I don't know. I just didn't really want to push that 4-year button on him. Maybe TJ Watt's like a franchise tag in XFL, but you're right, Adam. Maybe that's come full circle now. Maybe TJ Watt is a guy that you could go in. Man, I don't know that I want to give a second for TJ Watt right now.
It depends on where your team's at, right?
Yeah.
If it's a late second, if you're going to be
maybe.
contending.
Yeah.
If I had a second,
honestly,
in
maybe
XFL, I'd probably try and acquire.
Probably this year, late second would probably be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disappointing too because you look at the past 4 of the past 5 seasons, basically when he's played a full season, going back to 2019, 344 points, 2020, 341, 2021, 393. He was banged up in 2022, but 2023, 386. This year, 288.
Yeah, pretty big regression.
100 points fewer overall. So, yeah, but a good buy window because the perception's going to be down.
Because I kind of trust that history, right? He's given it to us more often than not, those, 300-plus point seasons. So it's let's just say it was a down year.
Yep.
I know he is getting older, but it's I still, we just saw Khalil Mack go off for,
TJ
17
Watt.
sacks last season.
Yep.
So Watt definitely has that in his range.
Yeah.
Speaking of Khalil Mack, free agent, I think that he'll command a nice little sum. I mean, you look at the fact that, who was it? Chase Young, bum-ass Chase Young gets a 1-year, $15 million deal from the Saints with a known neck injury.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Khalil Mack's going to go get him a nice little, if he's got a good agent, a 1-year, $15 to $20 million deal somewhere.
For sure.
I don't think he's getting a 2-year deal, but I don't think he's getting the Von Miller with the Bills deal or anything like that. But I think Khalil Mack's going to get a nice little paycheck from somebody.
I don't know. I think maybe you could see him get a 3-year deal that's really a 2 and has an out.
A 3-year, 45 or something, 50 maybe.
Dude, I think Khalil has shown enough to where I would love to see Khalil on a lot of teams in the NFL. That dude still has it. There's not anything that, has kind of shown us any different. The weeks 1 through 9 and weeks 10 through 18, that split there is quite a bit different.
Yeah, basically half.
You hate to see it, but PFF-wise looked good. 90.2 overall grade this past season. That was a little down from the 91.8 he put up in 2023, but the pressure rate was still solid. I'm not concerned about Khalil Mack. Again, he's one of those grown-ass men types, just an all-timer, professional
Hall of
He's
Famer,
going to be
probably.
fine. Yeah, he's going to be fine. He'll still give us, I think, a top 12 DL season.
He'll be a great discount. when we start doing these best ball drafts in about a month.
That's what I'm most
right?
excited about is like
Because he got overpriced because
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
huge sack total last year. He
Yeah,
was
he-
going into the first round, beginning
Yeah.
of the second, which was too much.
Yeah.
Prime regression candidate, Bobo.
Would you rather give a late second for TJ Watt or a late third for Khalil Mack?
Probably, man.
um
I don't know that Khalil Mack's a guy I want in rostered leagues because I don't know if I'm starting him in either of my two edge spots or defensive end spots.
I'll still probably go Watt.
I think I'd rather just have Watt for a second and just lock down one of those DN spots.
And because like the age difference, right? Like in Khalil like about to be 34 versus Watt is 31. So
Yeah.
I feel like you have
Still a couple years.
you never know those Watt boys.
Yeah.
They like to quit.
they like to quit.
They like to quit.
Go do Mayo commercials. What do we think about, Bobo? Will McDonald started hot, 17th among edge rushers, 14.1 points per game, weeks 1 through 9. Cooled off considerably. Now, keep in mind the Jets season circled the toilet later in the season. So, you kind of got to take that with a grain of salt in terms of, was this dude really motivated? You had the Hassan Reddick weirdness. Now, keep in mind, Jermaine Johnson was out early in the season, so what does it look like when he comes back? But what do we think about old McDonald there in New York, Bobo?
I like Will McDonald. I like him quite a bit. Now, you're right. Second half of the season, after week 8, he only had 2 sacks, and both of those came in week 13 against Seattle. So that was a little bit depressing. But, yeah, the first half of the season was pretty awesome. Through the first 7 weeks, the dude actually had, what is that? Oh, my gosh, he had 8 sacks, I believe that is.
He was up there.
8 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. The guy was kind of a wrecking ball. Adam sent me a trade when I was pretty clearly out of it in the XFL. I asked Adam if he was interested in TJ Watt, and you sent me some type of a deal that included Will McDonald
It was like McDonald, Henley,
and
third.
some picks or something.
Something like that.
And I was like, man,
I ultimately ended up getting McDonald.
yeah.
Yeah, it was in the AVG deal.
Honestly,
Yep.
the
AVG in
Third or fourth? Something like
Will
that.
McDonald in a third for AVG.
There you
That's
go.
what I gave you.
That's right.
Well, when I declined it that weekend, Will McDonald had a great weekend, and I was like, dang, maybe I should have thought a little bit more about that one. But I like Will McDonald moving forward. I think the second half of his season now gives you a little bit of a lower stock price to purchase him at, maybe in the offseason moving into next year. But I mean, he's going to play more, I would think, in 2025 than he did this year. I
Yes.
like him.
I think it's going to be him and Jermaine Johnson,
Yeah.
assuming that Johnson is back healthy. So,
Yeah, I like McDonald the most out of that group there. I mean, it's an Achilles for Jermaine
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah.
to
Not
recover
great.
him. So that's tough.
we're looking at a Jalen Phillips situation
Yeah.
potentially with
Yeah.
Jermaine Johnson. So, not great.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I like the way Will McDonald produces too. Like he's not gonna have like a nice safe tackle floor for you, but who cares? Like the dude will get like 3 or 4 sacks in a game.
Yeah, he's not those high tackle floor. It's very much just like a designated pass rusher, like get after the
Yeah.
quarterback
Good at
kind of
one
guy.
thing.
13.2% pressure rate this past season, so that's encouraging. You like to see that. But yeah, I think he's gonna keep getting better. I'm a fan.
Yeah. Dante Fowler, I feel like it's going to be in the exact same situation we saw him in this
Yeah.
past offseason where he's on a new team, more than likely, and he's going to be a discount, and he's probably going to have some nice weeks for you in best ball.
Yeah.
I mean, Washington may just need to bring him back though.
Right.
really.
For sure.
I mean, like, what's their alternative? Just run it back with Dorrance
Dorrance.
Armstrong,
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's it.
It's Dorrance and Dante Fowler, really, right?
Many DNs in the free agency.
Yeah, let's just pull that up.
DeMarcus Lawrence is out there. Khalil Mack's out there. If this team, I mean, right now they're sitting as a contender in the NFC for years to come.
Yeah, they're playing this weekend.
Right, exactly. They're still going. But, yeah, they should be looking at bolstering that defense because if they lose this weekend, I think that's going to be the reason why.
You just keep Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen.
Allen's
Allen's hurt, isn't he?
Are they gonna get? I feel like they're gonna maybe get rid of him for cap reasons.
Could be. He could be a cap casualty. But, they have Johnny Newton waiting in
Yeah.
the wings.
He's played well.
So edge rushers that are gonna be out there: Khalil Mack, we just mentioned, Josh Sweat, Malcolm Kuntz, Joseph Ossai, who we'll get to him later on this episode. DeMarcus Lawrence, Matt Judon, Dante Fowler, Baron Browning, Azeez Ojulari, Derek Barnett had another strong finish to this season. Patrick Jones, Chase Young, Hassan Reddick,
So there's some nice options out there.
Rotational guys in there.
Yeah, for sure.
What about, speaking about Josh Sweat, man, I'm kind of hype on Nolan Smith. Are y'all getting hot and bothered by him?
Yes.
We're going to talk about him. I think he's coming up here in the lineup.
Boy.
So let's keep it rolling, though, because this next guy, Bobo, I know you're also hot in the pants for.
Oh, Lord.
Jared Verse, weeks 1 through 9, 14.6 points per game, 14th among edge rushers. Cooled off considerably, though, 7.7 points per game. The back half of the season, 59th amongst edge rushers. Keion White started the season hot. Mr. White, 13.4 points per game, 5th among defensive tackles. But the back half, 5.8 points per game, 54th. Boye Mafe also started hot, weeks 1 through 9, just 7 games, 13.01, 21st amongst edge rushers. Back half of the season, 6.5, 72nd. And then Derek Hall, his teammate, weeks 1 through 9, 11.8 points per game, 27th, and then 6.8 points per game. And we might as well just lump this next guy in because they're all Seahawks. Defensive tackle, number one IDP down the stretch, Leonard Williams, your IDP MVP, as a matter of fact, 9.5 points per game, 19th amongst defensive tackles to start the season, but my man was in fuego. Weeks 10 through 18, 24.5 points per game. Haven't seen many back half of the season stretches hotter than what Leonard Williams put up there in Seattle, which is good because none of these other guys were doing anything.
Yeah, I know they all kind of flipped. Like Leonard Williams was kind of okay to start.
Okay.
Where like Boye was good, and then Hall was, we were talking about him on the show quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just how this stuff works with this position. Very up and down. You gotta, remain calm out there, folks. This is how it goes.
Don't panic.
No,
Nobody panic.
If you panic, you're gonna miss out on their when they crush it at
Right.
the end. I'd start with Jared Verse. I think this will be who Bob wants to start with, but. Yeah, if you look at the production, like you're gonna be like, well, I mean, what's everyone so excited about? But the first 9 weeks were really good, 14.6 points per game, and that's great, especially when you consider this guy's a rookie. And then 7.7 points per game, weeks 10 through 18. But PFF, wow. 19.6% pass rush win rate. That was 6th best among edge rushers. Woo. A 16% pressure rate for Jared Verse as a rookie. That's just unheard of for the most part. So. I mean,
and dominated in the playoffs.
Dominated in the playoffs.
The biggest stage possible for a rookie.
Yeah. So
the dude went nuclear.
Yeah. Checked all the double checked a lot of the boxes.
Did he have 3 sacks in that one of those games? Bobo, did he have 3 sacks against the Eagles? I swear he had like 3 sacks in one of those games.
Let me check it out.
Maybe it was the Vikings game because Darnold got sacked 9 times in that game.
That would track.
So we were debating, we're going to talk rookies coming up, and we're going to do some dynasty ranking videos for YouTube. We're debating, who's your dynasty 101? Jared Verse, very close to that position for me.
He's in contention. Now there's some special ones though. I mean, you got Parsons, you got freaking Will Anderson, and also like Will Anderson is younger than Jared Verse. So
that is true.
Verse
isn't old. We knew Verse was going to be good coming in because he was older.
Talked about it literally all off season. That I expected Verse to be the guy that looked the best out the gate. I expected him to play the most, which he definitely did. But I thought, he's 24, in that range. So I mean, he's ready to roll. So
it is nice though when you kind of microwave their production a little bit coming in because they've been able to stay in college and season a little bit. So they get to the pros, and it's not a Latu situation or a Dallas Turner situation where, as a dynasty manager, you just got to sit on these guys like a mother hen incubating the egg for a year or two until you're able to actually play these guys.
You got to be strong. You can't be scared.
Don't be scared.
If you drafted Dallas Turner,
don't be scared.
Do not be scared, y'all. Come on.
Bobo, Jared Verse, though. I mean, just what a stud. The Rams.
We getting a jersey? You going to get the jersey?
Let's get a Jared. I was thinking, let's get a Jared Verse jersey for the wall.
No.
Yeah, not that
doing
wall.
that.
Let's
put him up there.
Wall.
That wretched wall.
Also on air.
There you go.
Yeah, I hope y'all like that new sign.
Sound off.
I forgot what you guys
sound off on air.
Jared Verse is great. Oh yeah, we talked about that the other day. If I was to get a new Rams jersey right now, what would it be? And obviously, I would love to have Puka. I don't know. I want to get something different.
Fisk.
I'd have to think about it. I like Braden Fisk. I think that was a big part of him getting hurt.
That
was
hurt.
a big part of the last game.
That hurt.
Okay, so let's talk Jared Verse real quick. I won't go down, this wormhole too far. But 4.5 sacks this year, fine. 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. All right, here's the two things I love about Jared Verse. The first thing, 66 freaking tackles.
Yeah, dog.
66 tackles. So quite the inverse of Will McDonald. Will McDonald, pretty good pass rusher. That's all you're getting from him. Jared Verse, the other thing that I like about him, finishes plays. The dude has got an engine. He's got a motor. A lot of times you see like these, there was a couple plays with Saquon where like Saquon's falling into the end zone. Jared Verse had almost caught him in a bunch of these situations. So you've got a 6'4", 260-pound, edge that's finishing plays, dude. The guy just tries to get involved any way that he can. I am going to try to have to find a way to get Jared Verse in the XFL. I've thought about that, some winter mower thoughts, which is really just me in the truck at this point.
I was like, Bobo, come on now.
I don't even know what Jared Verse is. I don't know what you would have to give to get him right now. It would be an astronomical amount.
It's at least a first,
yeah,
right?
It'd be a first.
Yeah,
Was you going to give up one of those first you got?
I know.
Yeah, you got
today.
a bunch of
Have you
firsts.
tried?
No, I haven't yet. I don't know. That slide hadn't rolled over. I'm just kind of still in winter mode.
Are you going to? You're going to start with the 111? Is that the first move of the offseason?
And then just work your way down.
Yeah, but that's
ladder
not gonna,
your way down.
111's not. It's whatever.
You're also trying to get him off of another Rams fan.
Correct.
So that's
That's going to cost
Add.
you 2 firsts.
yeah, that'll add a little bit to it.
But dude, I'm kind of with you, Josh, about Jared Verse. I'm kind of the same way that we were. I feel like this offseason, going into the season when Aiden started kind of going crazy. It was kind of one of those things where it was like, oh my gosh, like this guy's like already arrived, like this is actually happening. And I know Aiden's stats were probably better from a points per game perspective, but
he was a little slower to start. Same thing, and that's good though. That's great for us because most of your casuals are out there just looking at the points.
Yeah.
They're just following the points, and that's all they care about. If they didn't score points, they suck, they're a bust.
yeah.
Latu, Dallas Turner, they'll never be nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love this country boy who's just real scared.
Just ripping us.
Yeah, but when you look at the advanced metrics, like the guy's crushing it.
Yeah, 19.6.
But everything you said about effort and just attitude, he's got it all, man. Also, I love the chirping before the game with Jalen Carter.
I'm a fan of that.
Love it, man.
Yep.
That's what you want out of a guy.
You have a
drafted
defensive leader, right? I think this is the face of your defense for the foreseeable future. Which
New
you
AD,
love.
man.
That's right.
New AD.
Damn, AD, why did you have to leave?
Right.
I know.
Can you imagine AD plus these young guys?
He was
man?
at that game,
Boy.
too. That's what I told Jordan.
Do you
I was
have
like,
any regret?
mid-first quarter when Fisk goes out, all of a sudden you just see AD, run onto the field. He signed a quick little one-day contract.
They got him up in there, just totally breaking the rules of NFL roster.
That'd have
That's
been
your
fine.
job this offseason, Jared.
fun.
Talk to Aaron.
Yeah.
Get him
Get
back.
him back in there.
So Jared Verse had 2 sacks and 3 TFLs and 2 QB hits in that game against the Eagles.
Wow.
What against the Vikings?
He had, I think, I just had it pulled up. It was like half a sack or 1 sack, I think.
Byron Young had a better season than we probably gave him credit for.
Yeah, he was solid.
7.5 sacks, but he actually played pretty well in that playoff game this
He
last
did
week.
about the same as he did last year, right?
Yep, yep.
That Rams
That's
defense
kinda-
just came on as the season
Yeah.
unfolded, so I'm very excited about
He's,
him.
he's a fun piece, Byron
Yeah.
Young. I mean, he's like a fine edge 2, edge 3 for you.
I have Kobe Turner right now in the XFL behind Kalijah Cansey as my D tackle. And I go back and forth sometimes of thinking would I rather have Fisk or would I rather have Kobe Turner? They're both pretty dang talented, man, and
good.
they both had quite a bit of sacks this year.
So you mentioned in your IDP MVP clip, Leonard Williams is a piece you want to have. I think is he a locked and loaded top? Defensive tackles pretty stacked right now, but I feel like he worked his way into the top 12 of defensive tackles, right?
Yeah, I think so. I feel good about him for another 3-4 years.
Right.
Because that's all you're looking for.
Dude's
Because
paid.
that's a position that's going to change over quite a bit.
Right.
I feel like we did a defensive tackle episode a few years ago, and
We did.
that list is probably
Your voice
Very
got
outdated
sexy
at
all
this
of a sudden.
point. Yeah, we got real smoky voice.
Yeah, what happened?
I
there?
don't know what happened there.
I liked it.
Swallowed a frog.
Yeah, let us know if you like it.
Let us know. Sound off in the comments about the on-air sign.
Yeah, I don't know what's
and
going
Adam's
on.
sexy voice.
Kind of worried about myself.
Keion White.
Am I looking hotter too?
You look flushed, like
You
you're
look
about
better
to
than
black
last
out. Yes, last year was rough. That was a rough stretch for you. Keion White. This Patriots defense now. Mike Vrabel coming to town. I'm excited to see what he does with some of these defensive pieces. This team's going to be a lot better overall. So, this is the same guy that had Jeffrey Simmons there for a stretch. So
Yeah. I forgot that Keion White was as good as he was those first nine weeks. 13.4 points a game. That was 5th among defensive tackles. And I feel like he was in a tough situation. There's not a lot of guys around him. Barmore was out this year.
Right. Went back out at the end of the season too. So
hopefully he can get right this offseason.
Man, you hope so, but it really worries me that it may be just a career ender for Christian Barmore with the blood clots.
Yeah. But I think Keion White's in a good situation. I think he's a good player, and that's a team that's going to be playing from behind a lot. So he's going to be doing a lot of pass rushing out there. So yeah, I think that we can expect like similar type seasons. I think to what we just saw. He'll be between that 10 to 13 points per game, which is solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't have to. This is a guy you got probably off waivers. You just kind of been letting him marinate on your bench, and now you can actually use him a little bit.
Right. I was just looking at the Seattle defensive line. I'm like, is this the 2025 version of the Broncos where it's like, who do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want Boye Mafe? Do you want Derek Hall? Do you want Uchenna? Do you want Leonard Williams?
Yeah.
Take your pick. And it's probably just Leonard Williams, just like Zach Allen is
Byron
the guy.
Murphy, what's he going to be like?
Exactly. That's probably the guy you want is just the defensive tackle.
Man, Uchenna, you're really kind of disappeared.
Is he a cut candidate at this point?
Well, he was battling injuries all year, so I'm willing to give him a pass. But you know how that stuff goes. It's not really a need for them right now.
Right.
They're flush with talent and young guys too. So, you could see that happening, I think.
Yeah.
But didn't they just re-up him, though, again, I feel like last year?
Maybe. I'll look at the contract here after we go through this next batch to see, but I feel like he's got to be getting close to being a cut candidate.
But he'll certainly be someone that I'm buying in these best balls this
season.
Like, I could see a 10.
All of these guys will be values, so just throw your dart at whoever you like best of the bunch. So a guy, though, that is absolutely in the mix, you mentioned him just a second ago for Edge 1, IDP 1, Micah Parsons came back with a freaking vengeance. Back half of the season, started slow, injured, missed some time, just 4 games. The first 9 weeks of the season, 10.9 points per game, 33rd amongst edge rushers. But weeks 10 through 18, 18.5 points per game, second amongst all edge rushers. Dude was just on a mission. I think he's going to get a big old bag. Sounds like the Cowboys are hiring Brian Schottenheimer, so good luck with that. Liam Cohen just got hired as the Jags head coach as we were sitting here recording this. Yes.
Nice.
Snuck off. Did y'all see the story? He agreed in principle to the reworked offensive coordinator contract with the Bucs to make him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league. But it was contingent upon him not taking a second interview with the Jags after they fired Trent Baalke. He went silent. The Bucs could not get a hold of him. Where is he? Turns out Shad Khan swooped him up, took him back to Jacksonville, got him hired as the head coach down there.
Kind of a weird look for
not a good look.
To make.
Yeah.
I don't want the leader of my team like ghosting his previous franchise. That's like not a great leadership move there. Liam.
He's bounced around a lot. I know there's some potential and stuff there, but he was with the Rams and then UK. And then back to the Rams again, I think.
Right, and then Tampa.
Yeah, I don't know. His family's got to be pissed.
It's like, where do we got to go? At least you're staying in the same state, I guess. But
true.
All right, but yes, Micah Parsons was absolutely on fire second half of the season. Nik Bonitto, though, the guy hotter than him down the stretch. I wondered, who's number one? It was Nik Bonitto, weeks 1 through 9, 11.6 points per game, 29th amongst edge rushers. Number one down the stretch, though, 22.2 points per game. Nolan Smith, you mentioned it, Bobo, heated up a lot because he was basically not usable, probably on waivers in most leagues. Weeks 1 through 9, 5.8 points per game, 77th amongst edge rushers. And then 11.9 weeks 10 through 18, 18th amongst edge rushers. And you mentioned him, I think, a little earlier in the free agency roundup, Addy. Joseph Ossai, 3 points, basically, definitely on waivers in most leagues, 119th amongst edge rushers. But weeks 10 through 18, basically replaced Sam Hubbard and was the starter opposite Trey Hendrickson, 13.6 points per game. So, Bobo, let's start back up at the top. Micah Parsons is going to get paid, right? Paid a lot of money by the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I think there could be some shakeup with the Cowboys this offseason, but I think it's going to be more in the Dak realm than it could be with Micah Parsons. A guy like Micah Parsons is pretty dang hard to find. Now, I mean, like, what route do they go at cornerback? Is Dak going to be a, I almost said Oakland Raider, Las Vegas Raider? Is that
Los Angeles Raider.
Is that, what did I say?
I was just saying you could have gone way back in the Maybach.
Oh,
and
yeah,
gone
that's
with
true.
a Los Angeles Raider.
Gosh, the Raiders, man. Been a tough franchise. They just bounce around. But, yeah, I don't know. I love Micah Parsons.
wants him.
I think,
Somebody take him, please.
yeah. Would you rather have moving forward? I had this thought the other day.
On the mower, in the
no.
truck, on the toilet, in the shower.
Snow blower. thought.
Oh, wow, okay.
I don't have a snow blower. Sorry, bad joke. Would you rather have Will Anderson or Micah Parsons in Dynasty?
Boy, oh boy.
So no, don't look. Don't do it.
Don't you do it, but put down the laptop, Patty. Back away. He's still doing it. He's still moving his hand.
I'll look.
It's real close. I mean, it's a coin flip for me.
I mean, they got to be 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah, they're 2 and 3 for you.
2 and 3. Oh, number 1 is Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a
Shout
lot here
out.
coming up.
Always ahead, boys.
Probably going to be the most debated IDP of 2025. Definitely going to be the most debated IDP. Talked about IDP.
I think I'd rather have Will Anderson. Now, y'all could be in a different camp, but I think Will Anderson has a massive amount of upside, and I know
Yeah.
Micah Parsons does too. But
Let me just take them both. We don't
Yeah.
got to pit them against each other.
Don't make me pick between my children.
I mean, they're both. I mean, Anderson's 23, Micah's 25.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen Anderson quite get to Parsons' level yet.
Sure.
I'll always just take the guy that has done it, as long as the age gap is not huge, right?
So you're
Yeah.
taking Micah?
I'd take Micah. But again, just give me both.
Yeah, I mean,
love both these
I'm
guys.
happy either way.
The Seahawks do have an out in Uchenna Nwosu's contract. 2026 would really be the year to do it because they could save about $12 million. But they could save about $8 million moving on from him this offseason.
Wow. Well, then he might be out.
Yeah.
21.2 on the cap, $13 million in dead cap.
He
So you
gone.
save about 8.2.
Yeah, I don't know what type of situation they're in. I mean, I would probably keep him. Instead of, if you're just freeing up $8 million.
This is the year his money flips because last year he was 7.8 against the cap with 28.9 in dead. So,
Like, he's still worth $8 million a year.
I think so too. You always got to look at
And also, it's like you got to plan for shit to go wrong. Like we just saw, you shouldn't get hurt. Like that could happen with their call. That could happen with
defensive
Boye.
line is a good place to have depth.
Yeah, those are grown men fighting against each other as hard as they can go. Like there's going to be injuries. Like
That's right.
you got to be deep.
Bodies are banging against each other all night long.
Love it.
So, yes, Will Anderson, Micah Parsons, both great. Nik Bonitto. Addy, are we buying Nik Bonitto as a long-term asset in Dynasty? I think he's a little overinflated right now.
Yeah, I think we're selling. I think he's a pretty obvious sell. A lot went right for Bonitto. Like I do like Bonitto. Like I think that he's a solid piece, but I look at him as more like of a edge 2 type, edge 3 type. I feel like
Two pick sixes this season
Yeah,
definitely juices your scoring.
Probably not going to happen again. But I mean, I think he's going to be in that 9 to 12 sack range, which is very useful. Like I'm totally happy with him on my roster.
I thought you were going to go the never forget sack range. 9/11.
Yeah, I should have. Damn.
It's right there for you.
Let's cut it. Let's go back.
Let's do better next time, okay? You're just a little rusty is all.
That's right. It's been a month.
It's been a month.
Still pretty good though. Still better than most.
Yeah.
Nick
Say
Bonitto,
that.
obvious fade, Bobo.
Yeah, who's in that? So I don't want to know like pick wise, but like who's in that range of players that you would be like, hey, let me trade Bonitto for. All right, I'm going to give you some players around him in your ranks. So Bonitto or Josh Hines Allen.
That's
Oh
good.
my gosh.
That's good.
That's right there.
I'll probably bet on the Josh Hines Allen bounce back. And
Okay.
I'll go ahead and even though Benito's got like a few years on him, or
I want to see if I can.
other way around.
Bonitto
Play the-
25, Josh Hines Allen 27.
I want to see if I can play the recency bias card with the.
Get a little more.
Get a
Yeah.
little more. Can I get like a little Josh Hines Allen plus?
Let me throw a
Good.
fourth in there.
Yeah.
Can I get
Hines Allen and a fourth for Bonitto.
For my troubles.
Yeah, for
I'm
my
an innocent
troubles.
little boy. I don't know what I'm doing, but
Guys, I don't know. This Bonitto guy is pretty
yeah.
good though.
What
just
about-
looking at the numbers from the end?
Okay,
Yeah.
so two more. Bonitto or Grenard.
Boy,
Probably Grenard.
Yeah, I think so too.
Grenard's a baller.
I
this year,
like
dude.
Grenard
Really
a
solid.
lot.
He's
Yep.
in a great situation.
All right.
And we've seen it now for a couple of years with Grenard,
Yep.
whereas Bonitto just burst on the scene.
Last one.
Yeah, that's the key, I think, to these questions. Like with Hines Allen, we just saw that dude have how many sacks? last season?
17 sacks or something
Yes.
2 years ago.
Same thing with
That ceiling's still there.
who else you just mentioned?
Grenard.
Grenard.
I mean, he had
Mind
this
is
year-
just gone, y'all.
Grenard had. How many did he have this year? He had a
over
lot.
12,
Yeah.
over 30, something like that.
Great
More
season.
than I think any of us thought.
All right,
Yeah.
last one. Bonitto or Trayvon Walker?
I'll probably go Trayvon.
Okay.
Trayvon's still like
That feels-
younger, right? I think.
Yeah, Trayvon's 24. Trayvon feels kind of like the same with Josh Hines Allen, to where you're like, man, I want Trayvon, but you're going to have to throw something on it. Give me a fourth, too.
Yeah, it was
Give me a third.
Grenard had 12 and a half in Houston, 2023, 12 sacks last year.
Man,
so
he was awesome.
yeah, I would put Bonitto probably right there neck and neck with Trayvon Walker because we've seen Walker improve, but we still haven't seen him be like.
Addy, I like this right here. So, in the ranks, the IDPshow.com.
Baddest boy in the game.
Yeah, Nik Bonitto, edge 18. Then we got Trayvon Walker, 19. Then we got Kayvon Thibodeau at 20. Nolan Smith at 21. And then old Chopper Robinson at 22.
Yeah, we'll talk about Chopper.
That's a
in
fun
a
little
second.
group, man.
No,
It is.
and
It's-
Nolan
it's in a
Smith
good
is
spot right now.
Next
Yeah.
up on the list, I think Nolan Smith I was not anticipating the glow up we've seen for Nolan Smith.
Yeah.
Especially in the playoffs, the dude has been great.
Yeah, that helps dynasty value when you can, play well in the playoffs. That stays in people's
Always
minds.
remember, that's the most recent information we have to go off of. This is what these guys work for all year when they're going to try to play their best is for the playoffs. So
But also
that
just, I mean,
matters.
that experience and just like performing in that moment, like that just, man, you
That's
can't
big.
put a price on that.
That's what you want to see. Same thing with Ossai to force a guy like Sam Hubbard to the bench. I think it's arrow up for both of these dudes.
Think Hubbard's gone?
Oh, for sure.
I think he's
Ossai is a
Trevor.
UFA though, so I mean, we'll see what happens with him. Like, I'll be very curious to see what type of deal he gets, how much money he gets. That'll be key for him.
I think Ossai and Hubbard are both gone. Hendrickson's due for a new deal, though. He'll want to get paid.
So yeah, Miles Murphy could be looking at some more opportunity next
Right.
season. But yeah, I mean, I like Ossai, but I don't know that I trust it so much.
The Bengals are kind of in a pickle. Have they paid Logan Wilson?
I think they did. Yes, I think they did like
and they got
a year or
Germaine
two
Pratt
ago.
paid as well.
They have not paid T. Higgins.
They have not paid
Have they
T.
paid
Higgins.
Chase?
They did pay Chase,
yes,
didn't they?
I think so. Maybe not. Maybe they haven't. They're
I
about
don't-
to have to.
I don't think they
Pony
have
up for
because
him.
remember he was doing the
Yeah,
the holdout.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, it sounds like the smart money is on T. Higgins getting franchise tagged again while they work on
Chase's
a new
deal.
contract
they're
for
not-
him.
That double tag's gonna be a lot.
Well, I
Didn't they
think
tag him this year?
yeah, it's going to be the second tag in a row. I think you're going to see them try to get T. Higgins signed because Joe Burrow wants both these guys there, and I think it matters that he switched to be with Jamar Chase's agent. I think that was.
Telltale sign.
I think that's going to have some ramifications on negotiations. Yeah, he's in the final year of his rookie deal, Jamar Chase. He has not gotten a new contract.
That's
yet.
going to make that difficult for the
21.
defense moving forward.
Yeah, 0.8 million. I think you could
Which
see
Cheeks.
Yeah.
last season.
very bad.
Absolutely.
We just got their new their old defensive coordinator. Yay! We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's-
Woohoo!
Yeah, boy.
So
Yeah, it's a weird move.
yeah, Lou Anarumo. We were talking. Connor called me about it right after it happened. I was like, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just Gus Bradley and Lou are kind of right there on the
Yeah.
same scale of just meh.
Yeah.
So let's keep it rolling, though, boys. We got some more edge rushers to talk about. Keion Chaisson, 2025 UFA. How did old Keion sneak in here? Weeks 1 through 9, 3.9 points per game, 106th. But the young man had a nice little glow up, though, back half of the season. Weeks 10 through 18, 11.3 points per game, 28th best. Got me tongue-tied.
And Max Crosby, who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who
We don't-
needs him?
We don't need no Max. Chopper Robinson,
Yes,
weeks
sir.
1 through 9, 4 points per game. Weeks 10 through 18, 10.9 points per game, 30th amongst edge rushers. Zach Sieler was a bad boy down the stretch. The D tackle weeks 1 through 9, 10.3, 15th. So, startable, absolutely, especially in a 2 defensive tackle league.
Yeah, among D tackles, solid still.
Very solid. But weeks 10 through 18, 16.6 points per game, second amongst DTs. And this is a bit of a theme for Zach Sieler, because if you look at 2023 here, Addy, you included it for us. He was 14.1 points per game this season. Last season, 13.8 points per game. First half of the season, 11.09. Does that sound familiar? 10.03 this season. Weeks 10 through 18 in 2023, 16.93, almost identical to 16.6 he had the back half of this season. So
sounds like a primetime player.
He does just kind of coast a little bit at the start of the season.
Just
and then,
getting warmed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Just kind of like a car in winter, Bobo. You got to let it warm up a little
Get your
bit.
day started,
Yep.
It takes a little longer.
As you get older, you just take a little bit to
Right.
get going.
You got to get the coffee in you.
Yeah.
Got to grunt as you're
You
getting
got
up
to
out of the
dump
chair.
out.
Yep.
Somebody the other day
That's
told
really
me.
it.
That's it. That's the day.
Somebody told me
Day
that
over.
You need to wait an hour to drink your coffee, and I looked at him. I said, "Don't you ever tell me that again."
Yeah.
Wait an hour.
me?
What are you doing?
Do you hear me?
What was his reasoning?
It's the last I talked to him.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Damn right.
Bobby hasn't talked to
You
him
don't need
since.
those people in your life.
I need caffeine in 15 minutes, or I am climbing the wall.
What are
Also,
you
don't
drinking?
tell me what to do,
Yeah,
brother.
exactly.
Especially
Don't-
when it comes to morning
Exactly.
time.
How dare you?
All bets are off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sacred ritual.
I'll give
you're
whatever I
talking
want
about.
for
Yeah,
Jared Verse.
whatever I need to do,
give whatever
I'm going to do.
What for Jared first? Chop Robinson, though, I think you could make a very strong case, was the second best rookie edge rusher from this group, at least in 2024. Jared Verse, clearly number one. But then you look at Leatu Latu and Dallas Turner. I was making the case when I was kind of recapping the Colt season with Connor that you could put Latu last on that list, and I would not fight you on it. Because I thought the flashes we saw from Dallas Turner when he was on the field were very impressive. I thought Chop Robinson was playing great for the Dolphins down the stretch, and obviously
Yeah.
Verse.
No, I like that a lot because, I mean, also, Latu is 24,
Yeah.
you know? So, like Jared Verse, you figure this dude should be ready to roll as soon as he comes in. But, yeah, that wasn't the case. And then, like, Chop is, like, 21, maybe the youngest of the bunch.
Yeah, he's real young.
Now, Chop, like Jared Verse, had the
Opportunity.
lane cleared.
Sure.
Right, with both Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips out. You have Shaq Barrett retire. So
I kind of
really,
like that, though.
it's just, yes, he took the opportunity.
Yeah.
He seized it. And I think that's what frustrates me about Latu is, Dallas Turner was blocked by two legitimately very good edge rushers who had phenomenal seasons in Grenard and AVG. And
Two
even
Pro
Pat
Bowlers.
Jones, was in the mix there as well. But then you look at Latu, could not get both Kwity Paye off the field or Dio Odengbo off the field. So I
And
thought,
even, like,
I thought when Sebson Ambicam went down with the injury, I thought, okay, here we go.
right.
Lane's cleared. So
Right.
this
Same-
never happened.
Same thing. Like, I thought we were going to see, like, Latu playing, like, at least 70, 80%
Right.
of the snaps. But, yeah, it was more like in the 50 to 60 range, I think, when I was looking. So,
Yep, not great.
Now, I do expect him to be much better next season.
You hope so.
I think the PFF stuff was solid. Like, it's pretty typical from what we see from a rookie. So, I'm still holding hope for Latu. I still have him. I haven't really bumped him down too much. Like, I still have him as like a top 15 edge.
It is the corollary is like Caleb Williams, Bears fans, looking at Jaden Daniels, Commanders fans, and being like,
But
we
just,
could have had that, right?
but also, like, settle down. Like, Caleb Williams was in a bad spot. Like, you're about to get Ben Johnson. Like, it could look a lot different next year.
That's what I said. Leatu Latu could be great.
I think
Could be phenomenal. But we know Jared Verse is great. We know Daniels is great. And so it's just that sting of like,
Sure.
we could have had the dude who had this kind of season right out the gate.
But again, next year, Latu could outproduce
Right.
Jared Verse.
Could
and
flip.
and we're all saying, well,
Caleb
what
Williams
happened?
could outproduce Jaden Daniels, right?
Right.
So it was like, it's honestly kind of funny. It reminds me a lot of the Andrew Luck RG3 season where RG3 wins Rookie of the Year on the Washington R words at that point. But then Andrew Luck, before he retires, goes on to have kind of a better start to his career. So could end up seeing something similar with Caleb Williams. We'll see.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize how wicked smart Andrew Luck was. Like, that dude was a processor.
And I talked Gruden was talking about it with
Yeah.
the Barstool guys, like
Yeah,
calling,
that's where I saw it.
basically running the offense from day one as a rookie.
Thanks for the follow.
Yeah,
John.
appreciate that, Gruden.
Appreciate that. I know that
Yeah.
was you that did that. You clicked on that. I guarantee it.
He did. He was scrolling through Twitter, absolutely on his phone,
Yeah.
taking a massive Tuesday morning dump or something. Followed
said,
all of us.
This guy's got Tyke Smith.
Yeah.
is his profile pic.
There you
I like
go.
this guy.
I like
Eddie-
this guy a lot.
Tell me if this is way too deep of a dive, but should we be paying attention to Jalyx Hunt at all with Josh
Yeah.
Sweat being a free agent?
Of course.
He had a little pop, I think, last week. I think he had a sack last week, actually.
And not just with Josh Sweat being a free agent, but I mean Bryce Huff being a bust.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, Brandon Graham out the
Let's
door.
look up that contract.
Yeah, there was 3 years, 50, I believe.
Jalyx Hunt, a little draft capital, back of the third round last
Mm-hmm.
year, 9.2 RAS, 4.64 40, 6'3", 252. Yeah, I'm kind of interested.
Yep, definitely. I mean, it's one of those teams where we trust like their eye.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, Jalyx Hunt could get some opportunity next year. We already saw him get like a surprising amount of opportunity this year.
Agreed.
So yeah, I mean, I feel good about him. He's someone that should be rostered everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's where's he at in the ranks?
So right now you have him bookended between Isaiah McGuire and Matt Judon. Jalyx Hunt right now is the edge 74. So I can see him maybe climbing up. Joseph Ossai right now is the edge 72. So kind of in that range, but I could, this offseason with now opportunity, and
Josh
you're right.
Sweat's gone.
Sweat's
More
gone.
opportunity for Hunt.
Huff's terrible.
A lot of talent at that position, man.
Yep.
Like
It
I mean,
is.
that speaks to like
the richest
talking about guys
position.
like that in that range. You
Yeah.
know, that's like a edge 5 or 6. You know,
Yep.
Like it or not, Bryce Huff will be on the Eagles. It would be negative 22 on the dead cap, basically 7.5 on the books, 29.6 dead.
tough.
You're kind of right,
So,
though.
not great.
With the Eagles, they're kind of like the Steelers a little bit, to where, when they grab a guy like Highsmith, you're like, man, him and Herbig are
Who's
both.
this dude?
Yeah, like they're both going to end up kind of working
What
out.
was this pick? And then 3 years later, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
But with Jalyx Hunt, he kind of feels like that Eagles kind of mold.
Yeah. I like the fact that he has an X in his name.
Oh, dude,
It's a sick
awesome.
name. It sounds
Yeah.
like some sort of like
lot of drip.
90s action hero. Jalyx Hunt.
JALYX.
Right,
you got it.
Sold.
It's dirty.
Very cold. Let's talk linebacker, though, boys.
Like-
Everyone loves linebackers. And speaking of a name we like, this first guy here on the list was definitely a very important jewel, a crown jewel for Addy, you might say. Josey Jewell, 15.6 points per game. Missed 5 games total, 3 during the first half, 2 during the second half of the season. 10.75 points per game, weeks 1 through 9. 44th, not great. But then weeks 10 through 18, 20.5 points per game. My man lit it up the back half of the season. Next up, Ivan Pace Jr., 13.3 points per game on the season. Missed 6 games total this year. Weeks 1 through 9, 15.6, 10th best. Then when Blake Cashman was back in the mix, weeks 10 through 18, 5 games in that stretch, 6 games from the first stretch of the season, 5 games in the second stretch, 10 points per game back half of the season, 50th best amongst linebackers. Talk about a drop-off, though. Fred Warner, our beloved Fred Warner, 13.5 points per game. Fred was outrageous to start the season, 19 points per game, first among linebackers. But then, weeks 10 through 18, at some point during which he broke his foot, apparently, and we never knew about it till the very end of the season, 8.5 points per game, 56th amongst linebackers. Germaine Pratt, 13.2 points per game. Weeks 1 through 9, very hot, 14.8 points per game. 13th best. Weeks 10 through 18, 11.5, 36th best. You have a note here, the Akeem Davis-Gaither weeks, 13 through 18, 13.7 points per game, 22nd best for Germaine Pratt during that stretch.
Shout out. ADG, Captain Patch,
Kind of interesting.
UFA.
A lot of juicy names here, though, Addy. Josey Jewell, Ivan Pace, Fred Warner, and Germaine Pratt. Germaine Pratt, we know, is secure. Akeem Davis-Gaither, you just said, free agent?
Free agent. Yeah, he was donning the Captain Patch all season for that team.
I could
Which
see
is-
him getting a nice little deal.
Which makes your ears perk up a little bit when you realize they have Logan Wilson and Germaine Pratt as
Right.
linebackers. So when you see that, I do like that. Also, I mean, the grades weren't anything special, but he produced well. And so, I mean, someone could take a shot on him. Like, we see crazy stuff happen. I mean, Zach Bond just finished his linebacker one, right? So, I mean,
we're going to be asking ourselves all offseason, who is the next Zach Bond? Right. Could it be this guy?
Yeah. So, I mean, you just never know. But, I mean, these guys are free, you know? So, like, guys like Davis-Gaither. So, I mean, they should be on your radar. They should be rostered just in hopes that they get an opportunity next year.
It's going to be a big shake-up. A lot of linebackers, free agents, going into 2025.
Loads. We didn't talk about them. Let's talk about them.
Just a ton. Just an absolute ton. Zach Bond being the number one. Whoever would have thought?
Ernest Jones. What's going on with him?
Robert Spillane.
Yeah, Nick Bolton. Jamin Sherwood. Levante David, Bobby Wagner, both still out there.
2 Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Ever heard of them?
Kaiser White, E.J. Speed, Dre Greenlaw, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Cody Barton, Christian Rozeboom, Eric Kendricks. Then you got guys like Terrell Dodson, Troy Dye, Orrin Burks, Jack Sanborn, Isaiah Simmons, shout out Bob.
DB.
Rip.
So, yeah, I mean, interesting mix of linebackers out there.
Some big names. Some big names, at least for IDP. Let's play, though, with this group, the what the hell do we do with these guys game. Josey Jewell. What do we do with Josey Jewell?
We're buying Josey Jewell. We're going to ride Josey Jewell until it's over.
Until the wheels literally fall off and the car bursts into flames.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the grades aren't great for him, but it's like that's okay. Like, I mean,
I like the continuity. I think he's going to be there alongside Trevin Wallace.
A vet, experience, like that stuff's going to play well.
I think the Panthers are an ascending team.
But Trevin Wallace is going to cost you $1.20 right now, whereas Josey Jewell's 60 cents on the dollar.
Could you just do a Trevin Wallace straight up for Josey Jewell trade right now, you think? If you wanted to get Jewell on your squad?
Yeah, I mean,
probably.
Trevin Wallace has massively more value, I feel like, than Josey Jewell.
Yeah,
because
I would be a little scared to do it just because of the Trevin Wallace upside.
Yeah.
But there's also a world where Trevin Wallace doesn't do anything.
Agreed.
You know?
I mean, Shaq Thompson, I think, is still under contract there, even though it seems like his injuries have
and
probably sidelined
he's like
him
30
permanently
at this point.
I think that based on the age thing, you could get like a really nice piece with Josey Jewell. Like Josey Jewell and a third for Trevin Wallace.
There you go.
I think you could sell him that high.
I'd be trying to acquire Jewell for like a fourth around draft time. Like I think that he's going to – I mean, you know, he gave you a stretch where he was linebacker 2 in points per game.
When it mattered most.
When it matters
right?
most.
Yeah. Playoff
He did
time.
get hurt down the season a little bit. I think he missed like the last couple weeks. But – man, if he was starting, you had him in the lineup, and he was balling.
I think he's an auto start a lot, for, especially if you're in like start 3 linebackers.
Yeah.
Start 3 linebacker leagues. Those dudes are just valuable to have a top 36 linebacker that you don't have to worry about, that you can plug in.
You got to get the linebackers figured
it's
out.
So important.
And also, like we were talking about, like with these edge guys, like we were talking about edge, you know, 20,
70.
25, edge 70.
Yeah.
Like all those guys were like interesting pieces that like you can see the upside in there. Like linebacker, it's hard to find.
It's barf.
It's a big guess for the most part every offseason.
Are you all right?
No, why?
You shaked? You did a...
It's like you don't want it. You don't want that.
Really?
You don't want that, Bob.
I think you might have
This is
hurt
not
your
great.
neck.
Hold on. Let's see. Is this it?
Not great, Bob.
Wow, what a pull by me. Haven't touched this board in a month.
Well done.
Ivan Pace Jr. What the hell do we do with Ivan Pace Jr.?
I am scared to trade Trevin Wallace. He's one that's like, oh, man, you could get caught really
Yeah,
bad.
it could be the next Dan Henley.
For
That
sure.
team loves Shaq Thompson, thoe
Yeah.
Unless he's a cut candidate, which he might be.
Yeah, he's been there under contract for a while.
Shaq Thompson don't love Shaq Thompson.
That's
Boy keeps
true.
getting hurt.
He loves all he has is himself. He keeps getting injured.
probably
He has
starts
no
every day
fans
with
anymore.
coffee. Just
Yeah.
10
Yes.
minutes in.
He's one that waits.
He's
an
got
hour.
it by the bed.
All right, Ivan Pace Jr. What are we doing? I don't think you can sell him at this point because
I mean, people still love the guy.
do they?
Yeah.
Does the market
I
still
think
love
so,
Ivan
man.
Pace?
I think
so,
people
too.
want to believe.
If the market
It's
loves
the
Ivan
story.
Pace, go get you a third for Ivan Pace.
Yeah.
Angels in the outfield, man.
Look,
Yep.
we love Ivan Pace, but the Vikings love some Blake Cashman.
Yeah, Blake Cashman's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
speaking of like a guy that didn't get enough respect this year, like look at his log, man. He was so good.
Phenomenal.
So good.
When he came back, especially.
For a while there in the XFL, I'm paying him like $8 million a year, and I was like, "Gosh, this don't feel right." And then you see the production, you're like, "Man,
Feels
I
great.
like Blake Cashman."
Feels
a
Let
lot.
me
great.
give you a raise. Let me give you $2 million more.
How
Bro.
about 12? How's 12 sound?
Weirdly
Blake?
enough, now not all the jobs are settled as we sit here recording this on January 23rd, but Brian Flores is not getting a lot of head coaching buzz. So if he's back with the Vikings again, they're going to run this one linebacker defense. So it'll be Blake Cashman back out there just like it was this year. The Vikes feel very much like a minus the quarterback, potentially quarterback 2, run it back in 2025 squad.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I do like Ivan Pace, though, as a player. And I it's unfortunate that he's in the system he's in, right?
Yep.
But I think in most defenses, this dude is like a bona fide
Right.
stud. So I think you just got to be patient. Like, there's going to be a time where I think that he moves on from Minnesota.
Has like an Akeem Davis-Gaither window.
Yeah, but, has a lot more upside.
For sure.
Than that type player. So, yes.
Maybe like a Houston linebacker.
Aziz.
There you go.
Yes, that's the type of glow up I could see. And then him being the leader of a defense. We talk about him as a top 12 dynasty asset. Like I think that could happen for Ivan.
There's
Pace.
enough big plays when you watch him to where you're like, this dude can play.
That's all
He's
he
got some
does
pop
is
to
make
him.
big plays.
Just go sell him right now because he's not going to play behind Blake Cashman, and then just go buy him back.
It's gonna be rocky, right?
Right,
Unless
when
there's
he's-
injuries, like
tough
that's
hold.
if Cashman were to get hurt, like it would be Wills up.
He's the ultimate. There's probably not a lot of linebackers that are better handcuffs in
Agreed,
IDP
Josh.
than
Yes.
Ivan Pace Jr. Because we've
Because
seen it. 15.6 points per game. 10th best amongst linebackers.
Cashman's 28, 29.
and he does get hurt a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's that potential is there for Ivan Pace, even though he's going to be behind him on the depth chart. Like there is still you could still be excited about him. Like,
Right. And
just
we are.
knowing you
We
have that.
love Ivan Pace. Pocket-sized playmaker. Little T-Rex arms just going nuts out there, but just in a bad situation right now. So if you got him and you want to hold him just in the hopes that things get better, I think they will get better. You just might be waiting a little bit.
Yep.
But if nothing else, he's a great injury replacement handcuff for Blake Cashman.
Yep, situations change. And he may actually be out of Minnesota sooner than I think because he was a UFA.
Yeah.
So I feel like they don't usually get like 4-year deals, right? Like aren't they normally like 3-year deals or something?
I got you, Joshy.
But anyway, just be patient.
Let's see the
That's the
contract.
name of the game.
He signed a 3-year deal.
Okay, so that was
he's under contract
cool.
through 2025. Great pull, Addy.
so he's
really
got
good.
one more year.
That's
So
the
there you go.
best.
You might just want to hold him then in the hopes that he's
his time will come.
one of the top
Hey.
free agents of the 2026 class. Maybe he
Because-
gets a little bit of pop.
I think he will. Someone's gonna be willing to pay him some decent money, I bet. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Love the story too.
Rams.
Undrafted free agent.
Come get him.
Let's go. What do we do with Fred Warner? Is this just a let's let Fred heal up and wheels up again in 2025?
Yeah, we're writing a letter to Fred, thanking him for being such a reliable asset for like a half a decade at this
Right.
point.
I
mean,
think-
we're not going to cry about a guy that was linebacker 1 the first 9
Linebacker
weeks.
1 the first half of the
And
season.
yeah, he gave us a rough stretch, but he also he turned it up a little bit at the end of the year.
He also
the
struggled
week that
through
we
a
said,
season.
you can bench him in the fantasy playoffs. I think he went for like 30 points
Yeah,
week
that was
1.
his best game.
Best
of the second
game
half.
by far. But I look at this as like a Zaire Franklin situation on steroids, obviously, because it's Fred Warner. But Zaire was banged up end of last season. That Colts team was not great. The 49ers team, not great. We know Fred Warner has a broken foot. Fred Warner's going to be fine. I would have no problem drafting this guy inside the top three or four linebackers for 2025.
Isn't that a quarterback situation? Old Purdy.
I could see Darnold ending up there.
Yeah, that's a conundrum there.
Right? Because he was in San Francisco before he went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Are they going to want to pay Brock Purdy? Maybe not, especially if he has another kind of elbow thing going on.
Bro, also
Little dicey.
Tell me how he bought all of his offensive linemen brand new
That's
Toyota
what I was
Sequoias.
Sponsors.
You think
Okay.
so?
Toyota, definitely.
I was like,
better
my
be-
man's-
He's like making no money.
He's
like
making like
$1 million a year.
900K or something.
The big story last year was that Christian McCaffrey supposedly helped him buy his Christmas presents or something. I'm like, dude, you're still making $900,000. Like, I know you're living
like
in
Christmas
California
presents
and
for his
everything.
family or for his
Yes.
linemen?
Yeah.
But for his, I don't know.
For his family?
I don't know. I'm
Brock,
just like,
you've
how
got
did-
enough money. I can afford Christmas presents
How
for my
did
family.
next year all of a sudden you go buy like I'm assuming $100,000 Toyota
That's
Sequoias?
more than this dude's made that entire season.
Did you
Yeah,
hear?
when does it end?
Did
Like,
you hear Peyton's thing?
What do you buy my house?
Peyton's thing came out
Yeah,
this last
I
week
saw
or so.
that.
I love that where he
Yeah.
was like, if They didn't block it and buy him nothing for Christmas.
Yeah, and if we're not a
You
playoff
do your
team,
job.
I think it was, right? Like if we're not a winning playoff-bound team, you're not getting anything.
I also love how he talked about how he like hid that stuff. Like he didn't want it publicized that he was buying
It's
Jeff
everything.
Saturday or
Nobody
whatever.
hides anything. Everyone's got to let
Yeah.
everyone
It's
know
like a
there's something good.
promposal now. Everyone has to know what you're getting for your offensive lineman.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
it's
a
tough.
throwback.
It also like your peer pressure and all these other quarterbacks have to do it now. It's
Yeah.
like it's just a bad.
You could get your offensive lineman a really nice gift, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh, Brock Purdy got his guys cars, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
this samurai sword that I got doesn't
Yeah.
seem as cool anymore.
I'd be like, have y'all been to White Castle?
I think Joe Burrow
Yeah.
got
Here's
him
a gift card.
samurai sword.
Get your crave cakes.
We
boys.
should go.
Big Reds on tap. Like,
Absolute.
Shout out
The,
one of the best.
Cincinnati Bengals offensive linemen have diarrhea and food poisoning out for the playoff game.
One of the best
Joe Burrow's like,
epis
"Eee."
ever when Adam told us that he got Big Red, but didn't realize it
Coke.
was actually Coke.
Yeah, it's like, this Big Red tastes weird.
That was
Fairly
definitely when
certain.
you were sick.
I think that was the first round with COVID.
Yeah.
No doubt.
you were patient zero in Kentucky.
Yeah.
We should have known when you couldn't taste the difference that something bad had happened.
You were pretty sick then, if I remember that.
Yeah, bro.
What are we doing with Germaine Pratt? Seems like a nice LB2, LB3.
Yeah, same. I expect him to be that same that he was. Right, he was just overperforming those first 9 weeks. I feel like most people should have seen that coming. But he's his linebacker 3, really 4 type. I'm not really. I mean, he'll have some nice splash weeks, but for the most part, it's like 120 tackles and a couple big plays this season. That's what you can expect.
For where he was drafted, I know I picked him up in the free agent auction for pretty cheap in our main league. I think he overperformed expectations, right?
He's always a value,
Right.
right? He's always going to be a value, but it's
Let's not get out over our skis a little bit.
Yeah.
70% of snaps.
just take him at the value. Shut up about him so he doesn't rise in value.
Yeah, let's stop talking about him.
Just enjoy him.
Move on to
Germaine
Zaire.
Pratt, who? Yeah, Zaire Franklin, next up on the list, finishes LB1 in total points.
I got to give you credit here, Joshy, because I was a little bit worried about Zaire going into 2025. I thought, there was a little bit of not necessarily regression, but just kind of wonky play through the end of 2023. Enough to where it was kind of like, I think the guy's going to be okay, and I think it was just an injury that, was kind of plaguing him, but I should have trusted the person that watches every single Colts game to tell us, look, Zaire is going to be fine. Draft him accordingly.
Yeah, and he was great all season, really, because, 14.1 points per game, 16th amongst linebackers to start. He was number 1 down the stretch, weeks 10 through 18, 20.9 points per game.
Total monster down the stretch.
In the playoffs especially
winner.
was
Like-
outrageously good.
Every game was over 20 points, I feel
Right. He was a tackle machine.
Dude, look at this season. 173 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's a little baller.
Look at the last 3. 179 season before that in tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. but
Wow.
166 tackles. So, locked and loaded the new Foyer.
Yeah.
Right.
Really.
Wow.
Yeah, and I will say, but we can kind of come back to Zaire here in just a minute. I'll be curious. Let's move to the rest of the guys, and then we'll come back to Zaire first, because I am curious to get you all's take dynasty-wise, because as a Colts fan, I might have a different take than you guys.
Uh-oh.
But another guy who really finished the season hot, Kaden Elliss, Atlanta Falcons, weeks 1 through 9, really solid, 13.2 points per game, 20th best. Weeks 10 through 18, 18.5 points per game, 4th best. Patrick Queen. A lot of hand-wringing about Patrick Queen, and deservedly so. The dude was the first 9 weeks of the season, 8.9 points per game, 57th best. Turned it around, respectable 14.6, 14th best amongst linebackers.
Got no love.
Got no love all season, really.
Yep.
Jordyn Brooks, another guy who did not get the love he deserved. Weeks 1 through 9, 12.1 points per game, 31st. And then weeks 10 through 18, 16 points per game, 9th best amongst linebackers. Let's jump back up to Zaire Franklin. I think based on Chris Ballard's comments about not enough competition in the building, letting a culture of mediocrity fester, you got Lou Anarumo coming in, new defensive coordinator. I just think there's going to be a large amount of turnover on this Colts roster. And we know EJ Speed is a free agent, so now I think that calls into question if they want to bring him back. The podcast stuff at the end of the season with him and Zaire, I think really left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I think Chris Ballard, Jim Irsay, Shane Steichen included. I don't think they're going to move on from Zaire Franklin.
What happened? I didn't even know
With
about
him
this.
just running his mouth about, oh yeah, let us play the 4-12 Giants and whip their ass, and then the Giants turn around and whip the Colts ass in a must-win playoff game. Or, if you want to make the playoffs, you got to win this game, and they get blown out by the team that at that point held the number 1 overall pick. And you see these clips resurfacing on Twitter of Zaire and EJ running their mouths on their podcast about, oh yeah, just give us the Giants, we'll beat their ass, 4-12, bunch of bums. So
didn't see that.
Yeah, and then you see him doing the ghost high five and the Pat McAfee suite because of the beef he had chirping with Pat McAfee. So just a lot of kind of lack of leadership stuff from a guy who was a captain, right? One of the leaders of this team. So the axe is going to fall on someone on this Colts team. And on defense, the top of the chopping block in terms of like logical candidates for that is Zaire Franklin. So not saying he's going to get cut, but I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about Zaire.
That's fair. I mean, especially like when the defense is as bad as the Colts was.
Awful.
Yeah, you just know that change is coming. But I mean, with the room clearing out the way it is, that's what gives you like a little bit of hope, at least for next year. I feel like he's assuming like stuff didn't really go sideways behind closed doors with all that
we
stuff.
can't know that. But barring a surprise cut, just as a like let's reset the culture kind of thing, which it wouldn't be for on-field performance because Zaire's been fine. Obviously racked up tackles.
But you've got some head cases leading that organization that would cut a guy like,
I
Zaire
think
Franklin.
Jim Irsay was embarrassed by this season. Yeah. I think Ballard was embarrassed. Dyken was embarrassed. So who is the axe going to fall on? I think there's going to be some surprising player movement on the Colts this offseason.
Anthony Richardson gets cut.
I think a lot of those guys that you mentioned, though, being embarrassed, they should also get a mirror.
Yeah.
Right. It's embarrassment
bad.
all the way around, right?
But it's all bad.
The coach and the GM are still in place. So what can you do now to change things? They've already fired Gus Bradley. I think some other heads are going to roll. But, yeah, I think Zaire is safe for at least another year.
Yeah. But I'm with you. Like, I'm always really worried about guys like that. We see it so many times, like these elite producers that just, like, fizzle out, like, by the time they get to, like, 30. Blake Martinez, Jalen Smith, like, Shaq Leonard. Like, there's Devin White.
Yeah. Could keep going.
It happens
we
all
could
the
keep
time.
going down this sad
Keep
road.
doing it. Yeah, don't stop. You want me to keep going?
No, please don't.
Foyer
Foyer seems like he's kind of
tracking.
Yeah, and that's like that's a good reminder. I think we just saw with Foyer. Like, you just never know. Like, it could be over quick. And even though Foyer was solid, but it was like
the playing time
points
thing.
that was
me.
weird.
Yeah.
And it was still like 13 points per game, but like that's down from like 17, 18 points per game, which is like what we could see from Zaire Franklin.
Right. This is kind of to me more like Zach Cunningham. When Cunningham was in Houston, he was crazy, but the PFF numbers were not like super great.
They could potentially move on from Zaire Franklin this offseason. 7.5 cap hit, 9.49 dead. So if it was just like your leadership was toxic, we've got to do something to reset the culture of this locker room, you're out, it would only cost him $2 million. But more than likely, they'll keep him around for this year, cut him loose next offseason when they can save about $6 million against the cap.
Because Saguna Luby's gone.
Jalen Carles is still there, I believe.
Yeah, Carles is there.
He played quite a bit down the stretch.
That's interesting. I think he could carve out a little role.
I think Grant Stewart is gone as
He's
well.
gone as well.
So it's literally just Zaire and Jalen Carles because Speed, Saguna Luby, and Grant Stewart are all free agents, I believe.
Yeah, have to imagine they'll bring in. And that's what's also scary is like
could they bring in a vet?
Sure. I mean, because this linebacker class is so deep. Like, I mean, that could happen to almost every linebacker.
Could they bring in a Bobby Wagner or Levante David if
dude.
they want to reset the culture?
Sure, and
in the locker room.
That would make me a little nervous.
Right,
a lot nervous for Zaire.
Zaire, decent PFF, 60 overall, 62 pass rush.
But
like
not
I said,
good enough.
47 in coverage.
Decent, not like a liability out there, but not a plus, like not a plus player. And
what happens if it looks like 50, or in the 40s to start next season, right? Then it's a lot easier to get that dude out of here, try
Now,
something new.
He's not getting paid like one of these top of the market linebackers, right? He's not getting 15, 16 million a year. He's 7.5, 8.25 the year after that.
And didn't they just re-sign him?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just re-upped. It looks like they were signed a 3-year, $31.26 million contract extension March of 2024.
So I mean,
this was year one of a new
surely
deal.
he's going to be good for 2025.
I think so. I think he's safe. What about Kaden Elliss, though?
Man, we talked about Zach Sieler having these end-of-year finishes.
Yeah.
Kaden Elliss has done it 3 years in a row, because remember when he was with the Saints?
Right.
Dude was a league winner there.
Yep.
And then same thing last season, turned it on down the stretch, started picking up the sacks at the end of the year. So, Kaden Elliss is a piece that I want. Like, he's like a Frankie Louvu type, like just...
I still don't think he's going to get overdrafted or overhyped.
No.
Because these late season surges, like you said, the market doesn't reflect that as much because so many people check out. Mm-hmm. So I think Kaden Elliss could still end up being a value.
Yeah, he'll be like linebacker 20 to 25, and
We'll be
that'll
like,
seem a little rich.
Here we go. It's Landman time. It's
Yep.
Troy Anderson time. We'll have
Yep.
the same damn discussions. I'm not saying us, but the market
Yeah.
will be like, who is it alongside Kaden Elliss, this
Yeah, there'll be a
boring
lot of,
run-of-the-mill?
give me Anderson at linebacker 45. He had a few weeks.
Yeah,
But
he
it's
did.
It's going to be neither of them.
Just
It'll
give me
be-
Kaden Elliss at, what'd you say, linebacker 20?
Yeah, yeah.
He was
it's
linebacker
fine.
36
Yeah,
this past offseason.
yeah.
Even
was,
if he rises 16 spots, he's still a value.
Yeah, and that defense, like, I mean, they need guys. Like,
Yeah.
they need, guys that can make plays. And
They're going to invest along the defensive line. I think the linebacker spot is
Right.
not one they're going to pour a ton of resources into.
Right, the defensive line is still bad. They still have issues creating pressures, getting sacks, and I mean, Kaden Elliss does not struggle with that. So, I feel like he's going to be a piece that you want.
Was
next
he their
season.
best edge rusher? I know Ebiketie came on.
He might have led in sacks.
He might have.
Judon came on down the stretch a little bit.
Yeah.
But they
Overall, he
still-
was bad.
How do they still have no one at edge rusher? They keep throwing bodies at this position.
We'll see a name to remember. Braylon Trice.
Yeah.
Recovering from injury. Did he tear his Achilles?
I don't think so.
ACL. One of the two. It was
one
a
of the two
bigger one.
baddies.
I'll look it up. Troy Anderson, what are we doing with him?
But we're just hoping that he stays healthy, and it's probably going to be.
If he's
Well,
a discount in best ball
well,
drafts, I'll take a swing. Why not?
Yeah, and also Nate Landman is a UFA, so I
Right.
mean, if he can just stay healthy and hold on to that linebacker 2 role there, like, yes, he could be a really, really nice value. Like,
Trice was at ACL. before I forget.
ACL in the preseason opener.
Troy Anderson, before he got hurt, had 2 massive tackle games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was week 4. I think
12
he
and
was the headline
15 or
player
something.
for week 4.
yeah,
Then he just got hurt.
So I think that's why, like, you should be patient with him. Like, when players show you they can produce in that way,
Yeah.
and they have that type of ceiling, like,
Yeah.
let's just hope that it does turn around for him. This health stuff, and like he can get in a spot where he can get snaps. And
You're optimistic tonight, and I like that. I like
the beer,
optimistic
Bryce.
That's the
Adder.
beer talking. And the
I am
brain.
feeling more positive for 2025, which
great.
is
It's
unusual.
weird.
What's going on with you?
I don't know about
We got
that.
an imposter at it in the Sode Shack. Patrick Queen, though, will, I think, definitely be a value
Yeah.
going into these drafts.
No, he
because
won't.
I think he will. I think people are sick of Patrick Queen. A
Yeah.
lot of the chatter, a lot of the buzz was like, this dude sucks. Pittsburgh made the worst possible free agent signing of all time getting this guy. Now, I will say, similar to the Colts situation, end of the season, you saw a lot of pissed off Steelers players bad-mouthing someone or someones on their defense. Now, a lot of people pointed the finger at Minka.
Yeah.
But Patrick Queen was catching a lot of flack too, as people were trying to detective and figure out who's Cam Hayward talking about, who's TJ Watt talking about, because these guys were being very vocal about, when 10 players, do their assignment and one guy goes rogue or doesn't do his assignment, the defense suffers.
Yeah.
Yikes!
And so,
if that is
um,
Queen,
Yeah.
he's getting cut.
Somebody's head is on the chopping block. And I think Minka's the prime candidate, but Patrick Queen was getting lumped in there a lot as well.
And we talked about that a lot last year when this deal was done. It's really heavily front loaded. I mean, I think the dead cap was essentially a 1-year deal.
It's a 1-year deal.
You
They
know,
can save like a lot cutting him.
It was the same with Kenneth Murray. Like all of these were 3-year deals, but had the ability to move on from them. It's not Joey Porter Jr. they're talking about. It's got to be Pat Queen.
No. Joey Porter Jr. was.
Son of Joey Porter.
That's
No,
right.
No, I'm just joking. I'm saying, like, yeah, it's not like a DB. I mean, I don't think it's Minka, but
I think Minka was the prime candidate.
really?
Yes,
Wow.
I really do, because they were just like I said, people going back watching film, like watch Minka go rogue and try to pick this ball off, and then it's a big gain type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got Patrick Queen's contract pulled up here. So what are we doing with this dude though in Dynasty? I mean, do you want him if the trapdoor is potentially under his feet?
He seems like a best ball linebacker. Really, I don't want to have to figure out when he's going to suck, when he's going to be good, because he, for the most part, that's been the Patrick Queen experience.
Yeah,
Right? Very
one
up
or
and
the
down.
other.
Yeah, not like the biggest tackle guy, so it's like you're not going to have like much of a floor with him.
Feels like 2020 all over again, where the PFF grades were really bad, and then he got better when Roquan came around. But then when he was back by himself again, we're back to the bad PFF numbers.
Still super young. He's like 25, 26.
Yeah, he's
young.
absolutely getting cut.
58.
They can save $10 million against the cap.
Yeah.
He gone.
So Peyton Wilson,
Yeah.
Peyton
be,
Wilson, baby.
There you go.
a freak next season.
I think he's an instant starter, like potentially
Man.
green dot,
They could bring somebody
100%
else in.
of snaps guy.
Yeah, I think so. Again, just like it's have your pick. There's a lot of solid guys out there. So
I would like to see them, like, I don't know what Dre Greenlaw's situation is like with his Achilles, but I would like to see a guy like that in Pittsburgh.
like I think a better question for this offseason, like which linebacker do you trust to remain as that team's like starting linebacker?
There's not a lot.
There's not a lot at all.
There's not a lot.
Yeah, because who else was it early on last season that was getting a bunch of PT? Landon Roberts.
Yeah.
And I don't know what his contract is like there, but I mean he's not a piece that you're going to rely on moving
I think he's a
forward,
UFA
really.
as well.
Yeah.
I will say one guy that I trust to remain the team's LB1, even though he's a free agent, is Zach Bond.
Yeah.
I would put a lot of money on Bond getting re-signed. I think with Nakobe Dean, unfortunately, pretty serious. I think it was a patella tear, right, in the playoffs. So hate to see that for Nakobe Dean because the young man was playing really well this season. But I think they'll bring him back. Kind of do the we found this guy.
You want to pay Zach Bond a lot of money? I'd be so scared to do it.
I would, just because he was a good player. I mean, the number one graded linebacker by PFF, ahead of Fred Warner.
That was interesting.
Heart of the defense. I think you send a really bad message to the locker room if you don't pay this guy. And I don't think he's going to cost like $18 million.
He kind of beat the Rams last week. That one drive where he had did he have a fumble recovery, I believe, of
Yes.
Stafford's maybe, but also had a couple big plays on that drive. I'm with you, Addy. It's paying Bond is a scary proposition if I'm a GM. But
Especially after you just paid Bryce Huff a ton of money and he busted out, you know what I mean?
You're going to have
Yeah.
to eat that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be a tough one.
I'm just telling y'all, they're going to do it. I don't think it'll be a huge deal. I think it'll be like a 3-year
30.
3-year 36 to 45 range. Somewhere in that 12, 13, 14 a year kind of range.
better
The 1
odds.
year out.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way you should do it, right? Build in an out after year 1, or worst case scenario, out after year 2, right?
Yeah.
Better odds Bond gets paid or Zaire gets cut.
Oh, much better odds that Zach Bond gets paid. I'm putting that as like a 90% chance Zach Bond gets paid by the Eagles.
Better odds Bond gets paid or Ernest Jones gets paid by the Seahawks.
Bond. I mean, I think Bond is a lock. I see that as no doubt we're going to be crossing him off the list for free agent
Day
landing
1, day
spots.
2.
Yes.
You think Seahawks keep Ernest?
What is going on?
Right? I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope
If
so too.
if not, it's a little worrisome for Ernest.
Yeah, it really is moving forward.
They gave up a decent amount to get him.
But
Yeah.
does Mike McDonald say, okay, this is my linebacker. This is my Roquan Smith.
But the other problem,
brother, you ain't gonna find
Right.
another Roquan
Yeah.
Smith.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
just get used to that.
You can keep churning this thing if you want. I think I would just pay the guy that's there and that played well for you.
But the other problem though is that old dude behind him played pretty decent also.
Tyrese Knight.
There you go.
Yep.
The guy had a decent little season. There was somebody else I want to talk about too on here. Oh, Jordyn Brooks. Is he a UFA?
No, they 3-year 30 last season.
I kind of like Jordyn
Yeah.
Brooks. I think he's going to be a nice value.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Where is Pat Queen's ADP going to be in the best balls, you think?
Boy.
Linebacker 30.
Okay.
Linebacker, yeah, that range. I think
So-
30 to 36.
Round.
His will be one of the most interesting ones to track because if he does get cut.
Yeah.
I think you might see a early kind of ADP, but then like a steep decline. I could see him
pick back up once
right.
he signs.
He'll sign somewhere, and people will be like, "Oh, here we go, Pat Queen."
Round 5 or 6.
Maybe
Probably
even
later than that.
I was gonna say
Probably
maybe even later than that.
7, 8, 9
Okay.
range. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna fall.
But this last year, he was every draft.
Third or
pretty
fourth
much,
round?
Yeah, he was in that. Yeah. He was in that scary range.
Yeah. Yeah, the upside seemed like it was there.
Yeah.
You know, you thought that maybe the way he produced was just because of him being in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But that's just kinda
Contract.
who he is.
You got a rookie linebacker who's probably not going to play much beside of him. You know, opportunity was awesome. But, yeah, the play, man.
When you're not one of these linebackers that's getting like, you know, more than like 120, 130 tackles a season.
Yeah.
If you're not getting the big plays as well consistently, it's like,
What
kinda
are you
useless.
doing here?
You're kind of useless.
Yeah.
What do you
know?
do here to quote Office Space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on though to the last little batch of linebackers. Christian Rozeboom, 2025 UFA weeks 10 through 18. Very nice for Christian Rozeboom. I mean, whatever. 12.2.
Yeah, he's awful.
31st amongst linebackers. You could do worse. You could just have had Ernest Jones. Demario Davis, old man Demario Davis, weeks 1 through 9, 8.3 points per game. 64th, weeks 10 through 18, 16.7. He's on the Kaden Elliss,
How about that,
Zach
dude?
Sealer.
I didn't
train.
realize.
I didn't
Demario's
either. He
tore
always
up
does
like-
this,
I know.
though, dude. He probably finished as like a top, I don't know, 2023, I think he was LB 8, 9, or 10 by
Yeah.
Big Three scoring, and I was like, how is that possible? How did Demario Davis do this again? I need to go see where he finished amongst linebackers
But yeah,
this year.
I remember like thinking like, oh, I guess it really is over for Demario Davis. And then no, I just like, oh, he averaged 16 points per game.
He averaged what now?
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's back.
But yeah, to wrap up linebackers here, Addy, your boy Quincy Williams, 11.3 to start the season. To end the season, 15.5.
People forget Quincy
12th
came on.
amongst linebackers. It's kind of interesting because Jamien Sherwood, you mentioned it, free agent. Quincy Williams under contract. CJ Mosley, I think, seems like a pretty logical cut candidate.
I think so.
So I think, do they bring Jamien Sherwood back and let's roll out Sherwood and Quincy Williams together? It's a new staff there. Aaron Glenn hired as the head coach, I think, today. So what does that look like? Another defensive-minded head coach, so not like a bad thing.
Yeah, a lot of question marks. Similar with like the Colts. Like anytime, you know, new head coaches come in, new defensive coaches come in. Also, the defense was bad last season.
Right.
So it's like you feel like change has got to come. But Quincy is just, I don't know, a piece that I would want on my defense. Just to have like an enforcer like Quincy Williams that can hit people the way he does and just like flip the dynamic of a game.
Do you want to break up the brother combination
and
as
that's-
well?
And that's you're just
That's just
asking
bad karma.
You're asking it to be a little weird there with Quinnen,
Right.
if you get rid of Quincy. So it's like I feel like Quincy's going to be fine, and even if they were to cut him or whatever, like someone's gonna bring him on, and he's gonna do his thing. I think.
I always look at it like I think, Bobo, the Jets have more problems that they need to figure out than Quincy Williams at linebacker.
Yeah.
Like, Quincy was good for you.
Yeah.
Like, don't go creating problems where you don't have to.
You know what's crazy is in hindsight, they probably wish they had just kept Bryce Huff, you know, instead of letting him walk and then doing the whole Hassan Reddick thing. I mean, it ended up horrible for
Well,
both
no, they
teams.
would have had to have paid Bryce Huff. So
I
I'm
agree,
sure that
but-
they're
maybe
But they
Bryce
still
Huff-
paid
But maybe he
Reddick.
would have done fine
Yeah.
in New York, whereas in Philly, Vic Fangio, for whatever reason, just hated his guts.
couldn't handle the bright lights of Philly.
Couldn't handle the bright lights of Philly. That's one of the weirdest situations, truly.
Yeah.
The Bryce Huff. Well, really, it just kind of created this vortex of, like, Hassan Reddick that's one of the weirdest situations we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Bryce Huff, who just got, like, 3 years, $54 million.
Shout out Hassan Reddick. Dude lived the dream this season.
He did.
I mean, got all of his money.
Yeah.
Missed the entire offseason.
Missed half the damn season, pretty much.
Good for you, dude.
Completely ruined his reputation.
Right, completely
But-
ruined his free agency prospects as well. But somebody will still give him 1 year, $10 million to come in and be like an edge 2 or 3
Man,
for
who
you.
cares what people think of you?
Yeah, for sure.
Really, what do you need in
Right?
this world?
Screw him.
No, you're optimistic, Addy, baby. We're turning over a new leaf.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yes, Christian Rozeboom. The Rams need to upgrade linebacker. I think you could see one of these guys end up in Los Angeles, or maybe you guys, draft another linebacker. But I don't think it's going to be Troy Reeder. Omar Spates is an interesting, intriguing piece.
Nah.
Y'all bring somebody in.
Yeah.
But I think
Who you want?
could-
You want Nick Bolton?
Sure.
Get you a Bolton?
Get you Bolton.
That'd be
Get you
great.
Bobby Wagner back in L.A.
Nah.
There you go.
That'd be fun,
I think
right?
Wagner took a little step back this year. He's still fine, got some value, but I don't know.
They're gonna keep going, right? Wagner and Levante. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
think?
One more year.
Demario as well. I mean, why
Especially
not?
Levante,
One more year.
I think. Levante played pretty well this
They
year.
all got to be kind of like looking at each like the
Yeah.
Spider-Man meme,
Yeah.
right?
Are you going to retire first? Am I going to retire first?
Yeah.
I think they're all going to go out together. They're still getting it done.
Holding hands? That'd be sweet.
Now, I will say, Commanders go on a fairy tale run, somehow win the Super Bowl, which would be awesome. I'm rooting for them at this point.
Yeah,
Bobby Wagner could ride off into the sunset.
that'd be.
I
pretty
could see
good.
that.
I think
Pretty
Good way to go out.
I think Cooper Kupp. That's an interesting little.
Yeah, solid.
He's already acknowledged he's getting cut, right?
Yeah, I think Cooper Kupp could be moved on from. I think they
Anytime-
saved like $8 million.
Anytime the player is saying, it's not my decision, it's out of my
Yeah,
hands,
yeah.
they know
Yeah.
that they're getting cut, and they're just trying to like sow the seeds early, I think.
I just didn't. I mean, it kind of fell off pretty quickly for Kupp. The last year or so has just been a steep decline. But yeah, Bolton. I don't know if I want Bolton on the Rams. I really want somebody cheaper. Like, give me like Ivan Pace.
Can't have him.
No,
Can't
I'm
have
gonna
him
make
yet.
a trade for him.
We're
Gonna make a
trading,
trade. We're gonna give you a first.
Do y'all realize Frankie Louvu
Okay.
finished as LB4?
Frankie Louvu?
Yeah.
I believe it.
And then right behind him, Big Bob Spillane,
Yeah, Lu-
LB5.
Spillane was so good this year.
Levante, LB6.
Luvu started really slow, but
Brooks,
then the back half was crazy.
right, LB7 for Brooks. TJ Edwards, who we did not talk about, I don't think, at all this season, LB8. Fred
He had
Warner,
a slow start, but yeah, same old TJ Edwards.
LB9. Cashman was LB10.
Wow.
Quincy Williams, your boy, LB11. Kobe Dean. LB12.
A
Sherwood,
lot of names,
13.
though, that we
Yeah.
can trust in that mix, I think.
Yeah.
Pratt, Bolton. Wow, Bolton was up there. Henley, Wagner. I was just trying to see where did Demario Davis end up. Wow, Roquan was down there underneath Eric Kendricks. That is a hard pill to swallow as LB2 behind Foye, I think it was.
Roquan kind of looked a little different this year.
EJ Speed finished better than Pat Queen.
He did the same thing last season, though, too. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's, like, with Roquan and Fred Warner, both those guys. Like, you're drafting those guys because you know they're not being replaced,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Even though they may not have the upside of some of those
Solid.
other guys, like, they are going to be there. They're going to be their team's LB1.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it's just the safety. I think that's
Peace
what
of
the
mind.
appeal is there, and they're still like solid. They're still like 13, 14 points per game, right?
Yeah.
But
But it's not a Zaire where you feel like, there's a lot of upside, but he could get cut too.
yes,
It's
right.
Demario Davis, funny enough, finished between Pat Queen and Edgerrin Cooper.
Wow.
200 points. So somewhere like back end LB2, probably like LB 20 to 24 range.
One hell of a best ball pick. My
That's
God.
right. Seriously.
Probably won some people some leagues.
Yep. And I think I wrote up Frankie Louvu as one of like the
He
IDPs
was,
I
yep.
can't stop drafting.
Gosh,
And he was great.
I took Jared Verse at the back end of the second this year. How high does that dude climb?
Oh man, he'll be a first round pick, I would say.
He's
now.
going to go ahead of like Burns and Josh Allen from last year. Josh Allen was like back of the first. Burns was kind of in that range
Verse-
too.
I started working on it a little bit. Let's
Verse
see.
will be a top 2 round pick in
Oh, Verse
Okay,
will be like
best ball
a
drafts.
Jared Verse or Daniil Hunter.
Jared Verse.
We're talking for best ball.
Yeah, for next season.
Oh my gosh, Hunter.
Yeah, I have Hunter ahead. Brian Burns or Jared Verse. Which also, shout out Brian Burns. You had a nice little season, man.
Respectable. Yeah, I agree.
Put yourself back on the map. Still young.
I feel like the
That's
ADP.
close.
I feel like
That's
people are
very
going to
close.
take Verse ahead of these people.
I think so too. So I have Burns 15. I have Hunter 16. I have Verse 17. I have Grenard 18. But I may want Grenard next
Yeah.
year over Verse.
I think
That's all
Verse
you're
is.
getting. That's all you're getting.
Yeah,
Subscribe.
it's a little
Yep,
tease.
yep, jump in there.
It is
IDPshow.com.
probably trending toward Verse being overdrafted, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too.
Also, side note, like no one won these best balls if they weren't in the ranks. You did not win. You did not win.
Hey,
you will not win.
You will not win. I think our IDP Madness winner was Scotty Ballgame, right?
Yes, sir. Shout out.
Shout out Scotty Ballgame. Congratulations, my friend.
Great drafting this year from Scotty. Scotty won a lot of best balls, too.
You did. You were cashing out a lot to Scotty
Yes,
Ballgame.
for sure. He was keeping me busy, so.
I won my league again. I think I finished as 5th or 6th overall or something like
Yeah,
that.
so had a
at
great
you.
season.
Working my way up. Working my way up.
Finished 3rd overall, unfortunately.
And you were the previous season. You were
I was up
4th
there.
or 5th
Yeah.
or something. So
I gotta be. I better
we're
be.
gonna crack one of these things. We've got y'all. Speaking of best ball, we have so much just phenomenal, exciting news coming for y'all on the best ball front. Like
Future's bright.
the future is as bright as it has ever been. If you have never played IDP best ball, you're gonna want to start this offseason, and we've got some really fun ways for y'all to plug in and do that.
And
coming
also
up.
IDP. Like we got Travis Hunter in the game now. Like
right.
it's a fun time.
Yeah.
Fun time for IDP.
Game breaker.
Biggest season for IDP I think we've ever had because of
I think
Travis
so.
Hunter.
I believe so.
In large part. This is where we get to talk with the offensive-only normies about IDP.
Yeah.
Just give it a try. All right, let's wrap up, though, boys.
Do they know who's coming on in a couple weeks?
We'll talk about it at the end.
Oh,
we'll save the
boy.
tease for the end.
Oh, boy.
Tennessee is going to be on the next episode. Defensive back. We can kind of whip all these out
Yeah.
together. Kyle Hamilton, 12.3 points per game, 15th among safeties. Weeks 10 through 18, he was 9.9 points per game. Add, you got some alignment data we can go over here in a little bit with Kyle Hamilton. My computer is absolutely going to a screeching halt, so apologies for the delay.
It's
as
12 degrees in
I was going to say,
here.
the computer is very cold. It has been like 0 degrees in the Sode Shack. Kerby Joseph, 12.6, 10th among safeties. Start of the season, very hot, 16.13
Go
points
tear
per game.
somebody else's ACL.
Second best
been too
was
long.
was Matthew Staff. Was that who he was calling
Yes.
out on the
He's
field?
like, "Bro, I
You're
know you're
dirty.
dirty."
We've seen it. It's on
He's the
film.
one who got Higbee.
Was it?
Yes.
What did Higbee have that he went to the hospital for?
Chest contusion or something, but he was like,
Coughing up blood? Or?
yeah, that's so they were like, yeah.
What when McVay was like, we think he'll be okay, or he should be okay.
Yeah.
It was like,
worrisome.
that doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kerby Joseph. If any of you boys are further down in the dock, my computer is essentially
Yeah,
frozen at
I'd
this
love to
point,
jump down
Bobo.
here.
Do
Yeah.
you mind?
So next we have Alontae Taylor. Weeks 1 through 9, 17.6 points per game. Alontae Taylor was amazing through the first half of the season, but then weeks 10 through 18, 8.4 points per game, which is still pretty solid. Next we have Tony Adams.
Tony.
Adam will talk about him here in his article coming out at the IDPshow.com tomorrow, 2025 UFA. Weeks 1 through 9, 11.7 points per game, and then weeks 10 through 18, 5.8 points per game. We have shout out Kyle B, Mike Sainristil, weeks 1 through 9, 9 points per game, and then weeks 10 through 18, he had 12.5 points per game. The guy's just a baller. Actually, I think he had 2 interceptions last week of the playoffs. Sainristil is a really, really good
Getting a lot of buzz.
prospect. Quan Martin, weeks 1 through 9, 6.3 points per game, but then turned it around following weeks 11, 10 through 18. It's getting a little bit late. 10.7 points per game. We also have Jeremy Chinn, the Washington Commander, weeks 1 through 9, 7.9 points per game, which was 55th among safeties. But then weeks 10 through 18, 14.8 points per game, which was second best among safeties.
Thank you, Bobo, for wrapping that up there for us.
Beautiful. I want to ask Adam a question here. Addy, we all know how much Josh loves Kyle Hamilton. I haven't been in the ranks in a while, so I don't really know. But do you have K-Ham right now as your safety 1?
Not as safety 1. That belongs to Brian Branch. And I think I have K-Ham as safety 2 or 3.
Let me jump in here.
Safety's in a weird spot.
It is, and it's
Safety's
like
in a weird spot.
So right now, top 4,
Winfield had a rough season.
Branch, K-Ham, Antoine Winfield, Malachi Starks.
Ooh,
Baller.
wow. Okay.
Baller.
Yeah, I mean, Buda Baker surged back up the dynasty ranks, especially getting paid now in
Yeah, for
Arizona.
sure.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a weird spot.
Yeah.
It's a weird spot with safety right now.
And with K-Ham, it's like, man, I feel like I'm just kind of like chasing upside at this point, when
Yeah.
and he's not delivering.
I'd love to just cash out because you heard a lot about on the Ravens broadcast before they got bounced from the playoffs, and it made my ears perk up for IDP. This Ravens defense was totally transformed when they moved him from the slot to free safety. And I'm like, well, that's not great.
Yeah.
So if you want to cash out on Kyle Hamilton, now is the time. Do it before your other league mates realize that this dude is playing deep safety. And not to say that you can't have production from deep safety, but I'd rather cash out on K-Ham and go get, what, a second-round pick or whatever you could probably get for K-Ham at this point?
Hopefully a little more. But, yeah, I mean, I think I'd be fine with the second, you know.
K-Ham regressed a little bit. So 22 points per game, 7.8, 23, 15.8. But then this last season, 12.3. Something new in the ranks, the 5-year average. K-Ham is at 12 points per game, whereas Brian Branch is at 14.8, and Antoine Winfield is at 13.7. So I agree with y'all. I think, if you can sell the upside, if you've got somebody that's just, would love to have K-Ham, I'd let it rip a little bit. Because it's still just a safety, guys. Mm-hmm. And I think we forget that from time to time. That was our motto for years and years. We just didn't really care. We'll go find somebody.
Don't simp for DBs.
And honestly, I kind of have that mentality in the XFL. I draft a couple of safeties thinking they're going to be good. And then weeks 1 through 4, all of a sudden an Alontae Taylor or trying to think of one of the safeties last year that popped.
Kerby Joseph.
Yeah, or any of the Giants.
Trevor Moehrig.
Yeah.
Monty Hooker gave you some weeks.
There was a ton of them. Just grab somebody that pops off in the first couple weeks and don't worry about it. If you can get some profit to move K-Ham to go get like a second this year to grab one of these running backs, I probably would do that.
Or if, it sucks because the people who were all in on the Jeremy Chinn revitalization were like, well, cashing out on this bum, 7.9 points per game.
Still sucks.
55th among safeties, and then back half of the season, just eating it.
Still not trusting
almost
it, though.
15 points per game. No, I'm curious, though, why did you pull so many Washington Commanders DBs for this?
I just thought it was interesting, and also I like that defensive back room. I think that's a fun group. All those guys are kind of gritty. Also, the Sainristil pull. Shout out Sig. Sig had one of the best clips of the offseason.
I was going to say, that reminded me so much of Sig calling him a gremlin.
Calling him a gremlin, talking about him being a playmaker, a guy that a defense wants. And then look at what he's doing right now, like in the playoffs when it matters. Dude is making plays, balling out.
Do you know who else Sig talked up? On
Marcus Jones. It's a new thing.
Marcus Jones. Also, Deion Henley.
Oh, nice.
Went back and pulled that clip because Deion Henley got I think he made third team All-Pro. And Sig was commenting on what a great pick by, I think it was Tom Telesco before he got bounced out of L.A. And I went back and said, I found the clip. It was one of our draft preview shows. He says, what happens when the game slows down for Deion Henley, who's a converted wide receiver? Give it a couple years. Be patient with this guy because we could really see something with Deion Henley. So it's like he's been doing this for a while, folks.
Dude is so good.
You need to
do
tune
more
in.
IDPs.
Right. We'll have him back on later this offseason to talk more rookies. So
guy's a goat.
Yes, but I think Mikey Sainristil is the dude that I want out of this bunch. He just strikes me as that like slot gremlin, like this
just
dude.
Just gonna get better.
Yes.
Good draft capital.
Right.
They invested a lot in him. He's producing and playing well. So
little junior Buddha.
He's a fun player, man. He's a fun piece on a defense.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of those like kind of sneaky, low-key leaders of a defense here in a year or two once some of these older vets kind of phase out of this Commanders defense. Because this is an older defense, right? You've got Bobby Wagner there. You've got these defensive tackles that are there that are getting up in age.
Not young.
Fowler is old. I mean, Dorrance Armstrong is older. Like, there's not a lot of like blue-chip young offensive talent. It's like Johnny Newton and Mikey Sainristil, and that's about it as far as like these are guys that you feel really good about for the next 5 to 6 years on this team. So, well, there you go, folks. That was the 2024 season recap looking at splits, weeks 1 through 9, weeks 10 through 18. And this is all available in your Dynasty ranks, Addy. You have the splits for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, we're getting
the
there.
ranks.
It takes a long ass time, folks, but we are slowly getting there. It's a lot of different fires going right now.
We don't even call them ranks. It's doing a disservice.
It's data, it's ranks.
It's a damn IDP database.
So yeah, there's a reason why everyone that gets in them and looks at them, they do well.
And no one ever leaves.
They love them.
Yeah. Yeah, you ain't gonna find it anywhere else.
And
so.
it's the funniest thing to see, like, subs still continuing, like post
Right.
fantasy
We've
season.
we've picked up annual subs in the past 2 weeks, which thank you. Shout out to all of our website subscribers. Y'all are the best.
You don't have enough cloud to even screenshot them all, anyways. So you're gonna have to stay. The cloud would be the whole damn sky.
The cloud would be the whole damn sky, the boomer, the 37-year-old boomer says.
Very true.
But this was sort of our one episode looking back at the season that was. We're on to rookies, y'all. Next episode, we will be coming back at you all February 4th. We already have it scheduled. And Kyle Borgononi of the Fantasy Footballers will be back on the damn show talking offensive rookies. We'll be talking Travis Hunter with him as well. But we're going to have Kai Borg back on. If you haven't checked out his rookie primer, go to the Fantasy Footballers website. Check it out. He dropped it on New Year's Day. It is phenomenal. It's like 50,000 words or something nuts. So whatever offensive rookie you want to know about, Kai Borg wrote him up, and we'll be talking IDP rookies in that episode as well. So that's going to be your rookie primer. And then we're off to the races as far as rookies. It is going to be rookies and free agencies pretty much from here until the end of April. So it's a fun part of the offseason, boys. I'm excited to do this with y'all.
Really the best, truly. I mean, this is
I think I
all
might-
my favorite
yeah,
stuff is
because
like this time of the year.
Best ball starts folding in. Like, I love
Yeah.
best ball. Again, y'all, we're going to make the announcement here soon. Best ball stuff is really going to be heating up this year. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Lock in with us. Fun time of year. Travis Hunter's coming. Addie's IDP1 right now. Why? You'll find out on the next episode. Tune in.
Yep.
But
Hour and 50 in. This is the
hour
OG
and 50,
episode.
yeah. Off season, you're going to get the big fat episodes. We're
Yeah.
just cutting the belt loose and
That's
just
right,
letting it
yeah.
all hang out.
You're welcome.
We're doing it every other week now.
every other
so
week. And
we
we'll be
might get some
doing-
fatter episodes.
Yeah, we'll get some YouTube stuff cranking as well. We're rocking and rolling over there. Jace has a very fun episode of the after show coming up next week. A little Dynasty buy, sell, hold with Scott Soltis and Jason King from DLF and the IDP show. So make sure you check that out. The lineup for the after show is phenomenal. We've got a lot of great guests confirmed for that. So make sure you're subscribed over there on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. And, of course, you can get all our video content on YouTube, youtube.com/@theidpshow and theidpshow.com. Mike Wohlert is that man does not hibernate. He's had playoff rankings for your playoff fantasy leagues going, and he's going to have some rookie and free agency stuff cranking up here soon.
He's not a free agent in 2025.
He is not. He was our
Locked
best
up.
free agent
Long-term.
pickup of the offseason last year.
Josh
so,
might get cut, though.
yeah, I'm on the chopping block.
Yeah.
The culture is bad. The captain patch needs to be ripped off my chest. So
Grades are down.
grades are way, way down. Way, way down.
Him
But
and Zaire.
thank you
hanging
all
out.
for watching this episode, listening to this episode. We enjoyed it. It's good to be back in the Sode Shack together after a little
It's
bit
pretty
of a
good.
break.
Pretty nice.
A nice little 7 out of 10 experience. But
It's okay.
we'll see you guys here in a couple weeks. Until then, enjoy the football, guys. We have 3 games left, so cherish it. Really, really savor it, and we'll see y'all here soon.
Gotta cherish it.
It's the IDP show. Now you